Invalid option.
Well, we know that one of the functions is of childhood behavior is attention.
Where's the academy?
I hung up, but I'm going to call back in. We're getting significant distractions from a Hotepian or two. I'm going to dial back in. Let me see something.
Right.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Let me jump back in. Time out. I'm back.
Teacher about astrophysics and I'm
back. Let's get back.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Queen. Thank you for that. This is what I want to say about that. Attention is the number one function of misbehavior. And it sounds like your son is kind of thirsty for attention.
All right, everyone, that's the great big question. Where's the school supposed to be opening up today? I was wrong. I'm gonna have to apologize during this live stream. Let's get into it though. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. It's coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. It's 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 coming. Oh, it's coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. Thought his personality be twerking. It's twerking. All right. Thank you all so much. How's it going, Tata? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I want to thank everyone for tuning on in before we get into this live stream. Today is supposed to be the grand opening of these trap vandals in Wilmington, Delaware. I got to turn this air conditioner off. I'll keep talking. I'll be right back. Okay. And I'm going to get into this chat room, give some more shout outs. But how's it going, Tata? Today is supposed to be the day. September 3rd, the school was supposed to open September 3rd, 2024. And Umar has pushed the date back again. He said February of 2025. He's also said October 21st of 2025. And the question that I have for a poll today is, how many times has Umar changed the grand opening date? That's a question I want you guys to consider. It's an interesting question. Recently, Umar was being interviewed and he said he changed it 6 times. Well, one thing I know about Umar is that he lies a lot. He's a habitual liar. And I guarantee you that 6 is a lowball figure. Okay, so make sure that you vote on the poll today before we get into the show. Maybe a little bit later on, I'll pull it up and we'll see where the figures are at, and we'll talk about that just a little bit. What I like to do during this show, and everyone, welcome everyone to Cookie Crush Chat. I want to thank all the mods for being here, everyone, all of our members. Thank you for being here. Cookie Crush Chat is undefeated. I hope you guys have had a wonderful weekend, and we're back into the swing of things. We got a lot to get caught up in. What I want to do today is I want to go back and look at the video where Umar said that the school was going to open today. I have plenty of other examples of that going all the way back to 2013 was the initial date that Umar said that the school was going to open. And since that time, he's changed the date, not just once a year, but in some cases twice a year. So this plays into this long con. It's been going, it amazes me that it's gone on this long. Good question. Isn't it kind of interesting that it's gone on this long? Umar conceptualized FDMG back in 2005. And here we are, I need to get my lighting together. Here we are in 2024. It's almost been 20 years. That should help just a little bit. And it keeps going and going and going. And of course, recently Umar has been taking shots at Kamala Harris. He's going after D.L. Hughley. He's going after Steve Harvey and a whole host of other people. But that's just his way of staying relevant. Meanwhile, Umar is homeless right now, and winter's coming. He doesn't have a place to stay. That's why he's live streaming out of hotel to motel rooms. He's live streaming out of rental cars. He hasn't had his own residence in over a decade. And it amazes me that people still buy into this. I don't understand why people would believe a homeless person who gets online and begs all the time for money so that he can survive. Why would you take anything he has to say seriously? In fact, I want to, before we get into the show today, matter of fact, let me give some shout outs real quick. I want to pull something up because I want to address this. This is for, and I think it's a legitimate question it's possibly coming from an Umar Johnson follower. I tend not to get upset with Umar Johnson followers. I try to be as respectful and understanding because I look at you guys as just victims. And specifically, I'm talking about as it relates to this school scam that's been going on now for 19, almost 20 years. And all of the people that have sent Umar Johnson money, nothing has come into fruition. Not one black boy has been educated, and he continues to ask for money. And it's a doggone shame. And people still believe this foolishness that he has an intention of opening up a school. He has no intention. The idea is to keep this going on for as long as possible, come up with excuse after excuse after excuse, and get as much money as he can out of black people, and just keep it going for as long, because he doesn't have his own income. He's unemployed. And yet there are people who still believe this foolishness, and it's sad. It really is. But I'm not here to shame any of you Umar Johnson followers. I'm here to provide the evidence and the proof that proves that Umar Johnson is a scam artist. He's a charlatan. And let's be clear about something else before I get into this chat room. Let's be clear about something else. If you enjoy Umar Johnson's rhetoric, that's on you. It's not my cup of tea. I think it's backwards. I think that, and I know for a fact, I can pull up receipts. He's very abusive towards black people, how he talks to black people, how he talks about black people. Everything is negative and derogatory, how he makes all these commands. Everything is a command, and it's a threat. You better do this. You better do that. You need to do this. Meanwhile, he's homeless. So what kind of man lives a life online begging for money to survive every single day, and then has the audacity to tell black people what they need to do like he's Jesus? And some of y'all Umar, I shouldn't say it that way, but some of you Umar Johnson followers, you guys follow this foolishness, and it's beyond me. I don't get it. But I don't fault you if you follow Umar for only 2 or 3 years, but any length beyond 3 years, and you still believe in this foolishness, that's on you at this point. How's it going, Holly B? Thanks for tuning on in. And Kamala is here as well. I hope I'm saying that properly. And Carlita's in the building as well. Thank you so much. And Al is in the building. Al Japan Stan. Yeah, right on. I've been doing a whole bunch of research. I'm strongly considering. I'm probably going to end up doing it. The next documentary on Umar, and I will talk a bit about his father too, because his father is instrumental in Umar's development. And I know why now, because I've done enough research into it. And he was actually based. He stated that, at least it was written about him, that he knew some Japanese, and he was stationed over in I think it was Okinawa, Japan, as well as in Korea and other places too. But the thing is that Umar wasn't with him when he was out there. So I was always wondering why it was that Umar, his name was changed from Jermaine Shoemake, which is his mother's maiden name, is Shoemake, and why is it that his mother didn't have Johnson as a last name? And I figured it out because he never married her. He had I want to say 6 children with her. Yeah, I believe it's 6. And never married her. But what he ended up doing is when he came back onto the scene, because he was in the military, Umar did, when he was on base, I think it was in South Carolina, or one of the Carolinas, if memory serves me right. When he was staying there, that was a very brief time period, just maybe 2 years. But at a certain point, he got shipped off, and that's why when Umar talks about his childhood, he doesn't mention his father as being there. He talks about his mom and his grandmother. His grandmother was a Jehovah's Witness, rest in peace, and his mother was a Christian. His father was Sunni Orthodox Muslim, from what I understand. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because what took place, what happened with Umar. That's why I kind of feel bad for the guy too, because his childhood wasn't easy. It's not an excuse, but I can see why it is that he has so many hangups in life, and in particular, how he's still so attached to his mother. It's called enmeshment. And his father thought that when his father came back onto the scene, he renamed the kids, still didn't marry the mama, and then ended up starting another family with another woman, rest in peace. Wasn't an active participant consistently in Umar Johnson's life, in his life. And so one of the things that ended up happening is once Umar gets into the 9th grade, his father notices that, and that's why I have a strong sense that it wasn't until around that time that his father came back around consistently enough to notice that Umar was very much attached to his mother. It's called enmeshment. You guys can look it up. And as a consequence, he sent Umar off to a boarding school. It was a military boarding school, and that was when Umar was in the 9th grade. And even though I have a sense that Jamal Johnson, he was trying to do the best thing for Umar. I also think there's other stuff going on too that has not been mentioned. Okay, and I'm bringing this all up because Japan just popped up, right? I think there's other stuff that was going on with Umar too that has not been mentioned by his father or by Umar. But inevitably, he shipped him off. He was the only one that was shipped off. And even though I think Jamal had good intentions to a certain degree, also recognized it actually did a whole lot of damage to Umar, because Umar was no longer around his mother, and he had an extremely strong attachment to his mother. And then at the age, I figured he was what, 13, maybe 14 years old, he shipped off to military school, and it's a boarding school where he's not living with his mother anymore. And I think that had profound impact on Umar. And so here we are now. Umar is 50, and he's still attached to his mother. In fact, recently he was on a podcast, and they were talking to him about marriage and having a wife. And he went on to say, and I'm paraphrasing, Umar went on to say that the woman that he selects has to be willing to take care of his mother. And he says, because I'm the primary caretaker. How are you the primary caretaker and you traveling all over the world? This is the enmeshment. So all those times we see Umar live streaming inside that small little space with the blue backdrop thing that has a sun or a moon on it, something like that, that was inside of his mama's closet. So all these years later, he's still so connected. But part of it is because he was taken away at a point in his life where he was so attached, and he never got out beyond that. And so being separated probably caused him more pain and anguish than good. And so that ultimately, when he becomes an adult, he's still not really an adult. He's a big boy. And he says, I'm a mama's boy. I've heard him say it quite a few times. I've been going back into the archive and looking at these older videos. It's a sad story. It really is. But I think that it caused Umar a lot more damage than good for him to be separated from his mother in that way. And ever since he came back onto the scene, after he was away, that's another thing. I can tell he doesn't feel like he has a place to stay. That's why he never wants to settle down anywhere. He'll just live hotel to motel because it's the same programming, same trauma, being shipped off to a boarding school and then having that level of separation from someone that you were so close to and was so dependent on. And so then when Umar becomes older, he still has that same dependency and that same attachment. In fact, the attachment is even greater because he longed for that connectedness to his mother when he was shipped away. It's a really sad tale. I've really been feeling bad for Umar, but then on the other hand, I recognize that regardless of what we've been through, we can't justify bad behavior. I've gone through a whole lot in my childhood. Many of you guys have gone through a whole lot in your childhood, but that does not justify doing the wrong and treating people like Umar treats people, scamming and scheming and sexually exploiting all of these women. I'll dare say, and I'm going to say this as speculation, I'll dare say that Umar's lustful orientation towards Black women has nothing to do with establishing love. And I know this for a fact, a loving relationship with Black women to where he's building something into the future, which ideally that's what you want to do as a man. So you can have your own home, you have your own place, you guys build a future together, you have your own children. Now Umar does have baby mamas, but he's not an active participant in his children's lives, okay? The speculation part is that I have a sense that Umar's lustful orientation towards Black women is merely his attempt to try to reconnect with the feeling of being coddled by his mama when he was a child. And see, that's a very dangerous dynamic that takes place. And if you listen to early Umar, he talks about these types of things as if he's talking about other Black people, but he's really talking about himself and his own personal experience because he projects all the time. it's a very damaging thing when on one hand you have a mother who coddles you and the father's not around, but then when the father comes back in, and Umar's father was a drill sergeant. You guys ever wonder why Umar's so abusive with his language? That's how the drill sergeants talk. Then he goes to a school where that's how they talk to him. And he's not ready for that because he was a mama's boy. He admits it. I have it at least 4 times where he says that I'm a mama's boy, going all the way back to like he stated it back in 2000. I want to say 2012. And then you hear him talk about it. But so what's happening more later on down the line, he doesn't talk about this stuff, but all of that stuff, I have all of it. And I've been going through it and taking notes. But the point is that the reason why he's so abusive in his language is as if you're in the military, you know, and there's a drill sergeant telling you, you better, and I need this, and you need to do that, and yelling and being aggressive in that way. Well, I have a sense that on one hand, his mama coddled him too much. Okay. And then on the other hand, his daddy was overbearing. And his daddy's even said, I'm talking about Jamal, he's even stated how he's very opinionated. Yeah, well, that's where Umar gets it from. Overly opinionated, even when your opinion doesn't matter. Just all the way over the top. And so you have this complex dysfunction where Umar's getting, on one hand, coddled from what he would call the feminine, and then he's getting verbally abused in essence, because it's all the yelling and all this stuff. I said a long time ago, I know why now. I said a long time ago, I think that his daddy used to bully him. But now that I listen to Umar and hear him talk, you know, from back in the day, and I've been going over all these videos and how he talks about, you know, his upbringing, I'm firmly certain that was the case. But it's just the military training. His daddy was in the military for 10 years. He gets out of the military, and then he takes a job with the post office. He also said that he worked for Disneyland down in Florida for a number of years, which would mean that he was an active participant in Umar's life during time. But again, by that time, he had another family. See, anyway, the point being is that I've been feeling bad for Umar because I recognize that he's been through a lot, but it still doesn't justify his behavior. And we've all gone through things. And the best thing for Umar to do is to just simply stop with all of the dysfunctional behavior and the degradation and disrespect of Black women and the sexual exploitation of Black women, which again, I feel is tied to him just wanting to try to have some sort of connection that he missed from the time that he was in the 9th grade. And see, think about this. Umar, he's separated from his family and from his mom in particular. At the age of 13, 14 in the 9th grade, he shipped off 9th grade, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then after that, what happens? He did say that Umar said that they try to recruit him to go into the military at a certain point too. But you got 4 years where he's in a boarding school and he's away from his family. He's away from his mother. He has this extreme attachment to his mother. That means, you know, birthday, holidays, all that kind of stuff. He's away. It's military. So you have 4 years of that. And then what happens? Umar goes off to college. And then he basically, for the next decade, he's in college. It's actually a little bit more than that. So just think about that. You know, what happens to a boy who has this enmeshment issue with his mother in the 9th grade? He's probably 13 or 14 years old. And then for the next 14 years of his life, for the next 4 years of his life, he doesn't have the level of connection and physical presence. But then you have him go on this extensive campaign of education. It's way over 10 years now, think about it, but that's a long time. And so what ends up happening with Umar is once all of that is done, and even before he gets his PsyD, which was in 2012, if memory serves me right, even though in 2010 he was parading around as if he had a doctorate and getting paid accordingly. What ends up happening with Umar is that by the time he starts to think about, because he talks about this, he starts to think about getting his PhD, the enmeshment with his mother is reestablished. And that's why, if you guys look at the timeline dealing with Umar, it's been like a decade. Yeah, it's been over a decade since he's been connected to his mother in this way and living with his mother when he can. And I'm not even saying legally living with his mother, because the most recent time wherein he's lived with his mother, he wasn't supposed to be there. And she had received an eviction notice. It didn't have anything to do with him being there, but it's just significant. I don't want to get into all that right now, out of respect. But understand that level of enmeshment, where now here he is at 50. engaged in the same type of behavior. And because he's so dependent on his mama providing him with a place to stay, I'm sure food to eat, now he's reduced to living in hotels and motels and living outside of his rental car and live streaming out of his rental car. Much of this, and I'm not blaming everything on this, but much of this has to do with the fact that he was shipped away and sent off in the 9th grade, 13 or 14 years old, sent away to a boarding school, a military boarding school. And even though it provided him with a level of privilege, because he wasn't growing up in hood-like conditions anymore, it also caused extreme damage. It did more harm to Umar, in my opinion, than good. And I sincerely think that his father had the best intention, but it was just not a good move for Umar. There's so much more I can say. It's just I've been doing so much research into Umar. In fact, last night was when I really started to dig deeper into Jamal Johnson, and in particular, his military history. And then when he became a he worked for the post office. More recently, it's not even more recently, but he also filed suit for discrimination against, and he didn't win. He put in an appeal. He didn't get that either. And I'm not going to say anything else about this, at least here. Maybe in the documentary, I'll talk about it a little bit more, but you guys will be amazed at his premise as to why the discrimination took place. And if you guys read that document, you'll see how it directly correlates to things that I've said about Umar Johnson, because the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree. It's deep. It is so very deep. If I do decide to do this documentary, I'll do it in segments. It'll probably be like 20, 30-minute segments, and it's probably going to be all together. I would think it's probably going to be close to 4 hours altogether. And I'll share the segments, and then when we get close to the end, I'll put everything together and finalize stuff, probably do a soundtrack to it, and then upload it as a live where we can watch, and it'll be the whole thing from start to finish with all editing, all completed and everything. So I haven't decided yet, but more than likely it's going to happen. Okay, I didn't mean to go off on this topic right now, but there's just been so much that I've learned about Umar since I've been going back and looking at older videos when he first came on the scene, onto the internet, and what has transpired all the way up to 2016. I'm in the timeline. I looked at everything up into 2016, but of course I've been following Umar closely since about 2019, maybe the end of 2018, somewhere around there. So I know the timeline leading up to today. It's just putting all the pieces together. And I'm going to go through all the stuff too. 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. I'll end up going through everything. Here we are. Today is September 3rd, 2024. And FDMG is supposed to open today. And if it had opened, and in particular, if it was an accredited school, then I would have to apologize to Umar. But obviously it hasn't opened. And that brings us to something I'm going to pull up. I wanted to get into this chat room. I know I got super chats too. I'm going to get to those. Let me just do one thing real quick. Let me read this to you all, and then I'll get to the super chats and get into the chat room. And then I'm going to come back and address this particular comment. And this is from someone from about 12 hours ago now. It says, I wonder what will happen if the school actually opens. Will you recant what you have said? I answered this many, many years ago. I told people that if Umar opens in an accredited school, that I will take all of my videos down and I will apologize. But he has to open an accredited school. And see, the truth is that Umar has already admitted that the school will not be accredited. So it's a moot point at this point. Excuse the pun. That makes sense. The other thing, that even if Umar managed to open up something and try to pass it off, it still won't be accredited. And the truth of the matter is that the real issue is not so much the school, even though most people think that that's the real issue. The real issue is the money. And there is, I have no doubt in my mind that what Umar has done with this money is criminal, and that Umar is criminal minded in these regards. And that's why he never wants to talk about the money. So even though the person's specifically asking about the school, you see, understand that the school is just a symbol. I like to, in my own mind, I think of it as a a carrot that is dangled in front of the nose of a donkey. And no matter how much the donkey attempts to move towards the carrot is always going to be a foot away because it's just holding it right there in front of them. So, and you're sitting on top of it moves, and so you move. And so no matter how much, the illusion of progress you may see, you're never going to actually get to the carrot. And that's Umar Johnson follows. You guys, and I'm not saying this as a disrespect, but you guys are like donkeys. And Umar, he dangles, he sits on top of you on high, and he tells you what to do. Get on your CashApp, get on your PayPal, get on your PO box. You trifling, you lazy, you this, you that, and I need the money and give me your grit money. Just abusive. And you better do this and you better do that, drill sergeant. See? He talks to you, Umar Johnson follows like he's a master and you're a slave. Drill sergeant. See? So he dangles the carrot. I'm going to open up FDMG. I'm going to open up the school. 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 And you keep walking forward and you give your attention to that carrot and you give your money to that carrot. Some of you women, you throw them panties at that carrot and you keep going. That sounds weird, but you got my point. I don't mean to laugh, but it's funny. It's not funny, but it just sounds weird. That's what's funny about it. But no matter what happens, the carrot is always beyond reach. And that's precisely what is taking place with FDMG. So the carrot is just the symbol of what this is about. So what I'm saying is that the school is just the symbol of what this is about. But in essence, what this is truly about is about the money. See, every step you take, that's like giving money. You take a step to give money. Every time you defend Umar, you take a step towards that carrot, but the carrot keeps going and keeps moving forward. It's about the money. It's about the power. It's about the sex. It's about the control. You control the donkey inevitably and extensively for however long you want to. And that's precisely what Umar Johnson has done. So I want to be clear about this before we get into the show for today. That it's not the school at this point. He's been talking about this school for 20 years. He's been talking about this school for 20 years. That's dangling the carrot for 20 years. So at this point, that's what I'm saying. It's totally irrelevant whether he opens anything up. It's not going to be accredited. He's already admitted that. So in essence, I've already won in those regards. Not that it's a competition, but in terms of my critique of Umar of being a charlatan and a scam artist. See, the school is the scam, but the scam is really to get money. So what is this really about? It's about money. It's also about the control that he can wield over you all as donkeys that he sits on top of and tells you what you need to do. Get on your CashApp, get on your PayPal. I need this, I need this. I need you guys to find me a contractor. I need you guys to find me a door. He said a door contractor. I need you to find me a roofer. I need you to find me an electrician. I need you all to come up here and paint. But first, you got to donate to me first as a loyal donor before I give you the privilege to come paint for me for free. That's double slavery. See, that's power. That's control. See, the sex too, to get out there and crush them cookies. I'm going to save your black boys so that these women open up them legs. That's what that's about. And give up the yin yang. I'm sorry. That's for your old school people, the yin yang. All right. Just give it up. Okay. It's about the power, the control, the sex, and the money, and all of it's intertwined. So even if Umar decides to fake like he opened up something, I guarantee you will not be accredited. So there'd be no need to apologize because he done tricked people. He done tricked off millions of dollars of black people's money already. So at this point, it doesn't even matter. That's why I'm saying it's amazing that this has gone along so far. And people still ask questions like, well, what are you going to do when he opens it up? That ship has sailed. See, people have to come to the realization of this, that the only reason why people think that the school is going to open is because Umar manipulates people and his followers to believing lies over and over and over again. If he told you that the school was going to open September 11, 2013, and it didn't, would that mean that he lied to you? And I can pull up receipts on this. If he said in 2014 that he was going to find a school and he didn't do it, then he lied to you. If in 2014 he said that it was a government conspiracy for the government to come in and purchase St. Paul's to take it away from him. I can pull up the receipt right now because I reviewed that this last weekend. If he tells you all this stuff, but then a few months later, from him telling you all that, he's saying, y'all make sure y'all go on to GoFundMe and make a donation and he didn't have CashApp back then, get on your PayPal, get a PO box because the school is still up for sale. Yeah, but a couple of months ago, you said that the government came in and took it up from under you. It was a mass conspiracy. Anyone remember that? Hit the one. Anyone in Cookie Crush Chat, do you guys remember that? Umar said that is basically saying there's no need for me to keep pursuing the St. Paul's College because the government, it's a conspiracy. They're trying to take it up from under me. Umar, the sabotage talk. But then a few months later, he's back talking about, well, we need to get this money for St. Paul's. If memory serves me, it was 2014. It could have been, it was 2015. Yeah, 2015. That could be wrong. It could have been late 2014. I can pull it up, though. So he lied then. If he says in 2015 that he was going to purchase a school, he don't do it. He lied to you. 2016 says school going to open. Didn't happen. 2017, 2018, nothing. He just lies over. And I can pull up the receipts to show each one of these years. 2019, he finally purchased abandoned buildings in Wilmington, Delaware for $400,000. He collected over $2 million. He had to have been over two. No, he's probably close to $2 million at the time. He should have had about $1.5 million left over. $1.4 million left over. Where'd that money go? Keeps asking for money, keeps asking for money. And here we are every single year since 2013, he's changed the date. Dangling the carrot in front of the donkey. That's you, Umar Johnson followers, the one who still believes this foolishness. Some of y'all don't believe it anymore, and that's cool. And you like hear him talk shit about black people because that's all he do. You like hearing him talking all that church. That's all he do is talk trash about black people. He don't do nothing else. He's not building anything. He's not part of any grassroots organization. He's not actively out there in the community at grassroots. I have a video he was talking about, we have to stop with this social media stuff. And this is a long time ago. And we need to it's not about being online. We got to knock on doors. Umar ain't knocking on no doors unless they serving free food. It's like a big stage show with this guy, and people believe that he's some sort of a leader. That's on y'all, that he's some sort of a leader and he's doing all these wonderful things for black people, but all he do is run his mouth. And he's put out this whole fabricated reality of who he is and what he does. And I'm a school psychologist. No, he's not. And I'm a therapist. No, he's not. And I'm a principal. No, he's not. And I'm a vice principal. No, he's not. And I train superintendents of what? And I'm the most requested. No, you're not. If you're the most requested, why are you always begging for people to give you venue? He's a subject. He beg for everything. It's carefully crafted. He done said it so much, Umar Johnson followers believe. But if you ask yourself, okay, wait a minute, is he really a school psychologist? What school is he a school psychologist? I have where he says, well, I'm independent. That's why. No. Where's his office? If you're independent, you better have an office. How you gonna have an office, but you won't have a home? I can go on and on. It's just sad that it's gone on this long, where he's dangled this carrot in front of the donkeys. I'm sorry, in front of I shouldn't say that. I apologize. He's dangled this carrot in front of you, Umar Johnson followers, and you guys at every step, he's telling you what you need to do, how you should respond to his quote unquote haters. And you guys repeat verbatim what he told you. It's the same thing, but that's the power and the control. And every single step is an investment. You have, opportunity costs, and you guys feel like you've invested so much that you can't turn around. And just simply ask yourself some basic questions. How much money has Umar collected up to this point? When was the last time he updated you? For those of y'all who said that Umar, he hasn't had enough money because he's not going to the government. Well, see, that's what he told y'all. That's mind control right there. That's power and control. He got y'all tight. Well, that's the reason. You guys come up with more excuses. You guys come up with so much excuse. This guy's almost 50. What you coming up with excuses for a 50-year-old man for? You need to cut it out. But let's look at this logically. If Umar didn't have enough money because he's not going to the government, well, then how much money has he collected? You don't know. if you don't know how much money he's collected, and I'll put it at $2.6, $2.7 million easily. If you don't know, you Umar Johnson's father, you don't know how much money he's collected, then how can you say that he hasn't collected enough money? And that's why the school's not open. That don't make no sense. You say that he don't have enough money, but if I ask you, well, how much money has he raised? I don't know. Well, if you don't know how much money he's collected, how do you know that he ain't collected enough? Because he showed me so. Well, there you go. That's power and that's control. And here we are. School was supposed to open today. As a matter of fact, it was supposed to be a paint day 2 days ago. Did the paint day happen? No. He over there in Europe, allegedly. This year, Umar's been up there less than 6 times. If you take out the paint days, which was a foolishness, he's been up there less than 6 times. And y'all think he's serious about opening up. He's traveling all over the place. Out of all these years, I've never seen Umar up there with a hammer. I've never seen him with a tool belt, with a power drill or measuring tape or anything that a man who knows how to use his hands would have, even if you never really use it, because I got all kinds of stuff. I don't, you know. When Umar admitted, and I can pull up the video, he says, I was never taught to use my hand, which is incredible, because that shows that his father wasn't there to teach him certain things. And the irony is that when Umar's father was in the military, I'm talking about Jamal, you guys know what he worked as initially before he became a drill sergeant, because he was in for a decade. He was a car mechanic. That's what he did. That's what you do you use your hands. But see, that wasn't passed down to Umar. Umar is lazy. He was a mama's boy. He was coddled. Like a little baby. And that's why when Umar's up there, you can see whenever he does go up there, he's lost. He has no idea. It's like he don't know what the next thing to do is or how to get it done. He's asking people, his followers, well, what should I do next? One time he was at the Lowe's, I think it was, and he was asking people, well, what should I get for this cleanup day? How are you at that time, you were about 45 years old. Why are you asking people what you need to get? If you big popping, you're gonna be opening up this school. It's just dangling carrots. He has no clue about what he's doing up there. He's lost. He's look goofy. I don't mean it to be like that, but I can tell, because he wasn't taught basic things that a young boy should be taught by his father or by a man in his life so that he will one day become a man. And see, Umar has had to be very crafty, because in the absence of having a levels of maturity as a man needed in order to get this project done, he has to be calculating in terms of explaining away why it is shit ain't got done yet. It's been 5.5 years since he acquired these abandoned buildings. And so what he does is he gives all these excuses. On one hand, he'll give the illusion of progress. He'll have a paint day here, a paint day there. He'll get a HVAC unit delivered. But then on the other hand, he just has excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. And you Umar Johnson followers, just like the donkey, you guys hear those excuses. And then when you see his critics, you call them haters, like he calls us haters, or you say you're trying to tear another black man down, because that's what Umar says. They're trying to tear another black man down, even though that's all he do is talk trash about black people. You repeat verbatim, and so therefore you become the excuse maker for Umar. Just like his mama coddled him, now y'all coddle him, and that's exactly what he wants. You guys listen to Umar very carefully. He wants to be taken care of. The idea of having 2 queens, it's about sexual debauchery, but it's also about having 2 women to be his mama. His whole life is centered around enmeshment. Go look the word up, E-N, okay, because I just was spelling it wrong before, E-N-M. Enmeshment is a form of emotional control that is achieved through manipulation. This makes it challenging to form boundaries, and boundaries are mostly non-existent in enmeshment relationships. Family enmeshment occurs when a family lacks clearly defined roles and boundaries. And an example of enmeshment is a family where the teenager feels like they have to make their parents happy all the time, even if it means sacrificing their own happiness. Or maybe a parent relies on their child to make all the decisions, treating them more like a partner than a kid. These are all signs of enmeshment. So to the person who had asked, what would I do if Umar opened up school? Listen, I've said it, and I said it a long time ago, that if Umar opens up an accredited school, that means it has government oversight. And it's a fully functional school that is in operation, and they have children enrolled. Mind you, they're going to be paying $500 a month. There's faculty and staff there. Everything passes an inspection. Everything's on the up and up. There's a curriculum in place. And if he opens it up and it's accredited, then yeah, I'll issue an apology. But you guys have to understand that Umar has no intention of opening up a school. That's not the goal. The goal is to keep getting money, keep dangling the carrot so that he can have power, control, money, and sex. It's really that simple. So please don't, everyone, before we get into it, please don't let us not, I'm going to say it that way because I don't want to make it sound like Umar. Don't do this. No, let us not collectively, all of us, myself included, let us not lose sight on what the issue really is. The school is just the means through which Umar has been able to achieve certain ends. The end is not to open up a school for Black boys or for Black girls for that matter. Hear me on this. See, the school is being used as a manipulative ploy in order to extract specific things from his targets, meaning his followers, the donkey that has the carrot dangled in front of them by Umar Johnson. And those 4 specific things is money, power, control, and sex. And there's no way that I can apologize, for anyone who's behaving like that. I can't apologize for something like that, period. It's not so much about the school at this point. The school, come on, it's been 20 years. I mean, Umar was supposed to have a paint day this last weekend, and he over in Europe right now. Please let us not collectively, let us not lose sight on what this is really about. And that's when you get into the cult dynamic of this Umar Johnson saga. See, this school is just really, it's for him in his mind, it's not only to achieve those ends, to get the money, the power, the sex, and the control, but also to extend the money, the power, the sex, and control by being in control of these little kids and they single mamas to get the sex and the draws. And then also they're going to be paying $500 a month per child that he can continue with the money. And it just goes on and on and on to the break of dawn. All right, let's get into it for today. Are you a carrot eater? I'm just playing. If you are, please stop. All right, let's get into some of these super chats. Holly B gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Holly B. I appreciate that. Lewis X says, is Jamal really his father? I haven't heard he isn't. Yes, he is his father. Jamal has at least 10 kids. I think it's 11. I think it's at least 11. Let me just pull up this document right quick. Yeah, okay. So Umar has a mother and he has a stepmom, rest in peace. And for my research, Jamal with Umar's mama had seven children. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's 7. I want to say 8 because I got this other name, but it may be associated with something else. I have a line through it right now. So I'm going to say 7. And then with his wife, he's widowed, and rest in peace to her. I always got to give respect. He had, he says 3, but I actually have listed 4 but I think that first name is from something else. So I'm going to go with 10. I think it's 11 though, because I remember hearing Umar says I have 10 brothers and sisters. The point is that, yeah, that is his father. It's his father. And, you know, Umar's, he was named Jermaine Shoemake, and he tells the story that his mama named him that. His daddy, again, the daddy wasn't consistently there. He was a military man. You know, he was out. There was a time they were staying on base, but for the most part, he was absent because he was, you know, people in the military. He's a Marine. But Umar tells a story where he says, you know, I have 10 brothers and sisters, and so he's including. Did he say 10? Yeah. So altogether, it should be 11. It should be 11. Okay. And I can pull up the receipt to show that. Umar, he used to talk about those types of things a lot more way back in the day. And that's at least, okay, if you guys catch my drift, right? So that's to answer that question. Yeah. And thanks, Lou Sec, for the super chat. User 225 says, why does Umar act like Black culture is so essentialized and unchanging? Breakdancing was inspired by old Kung Fu movies. Umar don't know that though. Umar really doesn't know much about culture, period. See, the way that Umar looks at Black culture is as if it's one thing, and that's it. And in general, he tends to frame Black culture around poverty consciousness and what I call ghetto centrism. You know, y'all ain't taking care of your kids. You know, you're a woman and you got all these kids, and the parent ain't, the daddy ain't around. That's him. He talk about himself. He is talking about his daddy too, but we ain't gonna get in there right now. Now, his daddy was more active in the family that he married his wife, and he's widowed, so rest in peace to her. But he was more active for them, and that's fascinating. When I got into, not to get off topic, user 225, when I really started to dig deeper into Jamal, the thing, and I have to say this, he is a liar too, by the way. I had someone recently say, well, why don't you reach out to him? Because he may be able to explain. I said, no, I just don't tolerate that. As a liar is a liar. And if you're going to be willing to lie about being a descendant to Frederick Douglass, then you know, I really don't have anything to say to you. You know, because character means something. Integrity means something to me too. You know, and he lied about that. And he took a DNA test. The DNA test proved that they're not descendants. And Umar claimed that they were a descendant. And instead of Jamal saying, hey, listen, you know, the DNA test proves that we're not descendants, he twists things up. Really sounds like, well, I can pull that up right now if you guys want me to. The way that he was twisting it up, I was sitting back. In fact, in that video, he shows the family tree, and it shows at least some of his children's names in there. Some of them are misspelled in there too. He also scratches out his given name. Because he wasn't named Jamal. You guys know that? He renamed himself, and when he came back on the scene, he renamed the kids, and those kids were the kids that he wasn't even consistently in their lives. It's amazing to me how that happened, but he never married Umar's mama, and that's why her last name is still Shoemake to this day. So name all the kids. Well, I tell you, it's a trip. Anyway, the thing with Jamal is that it's hard for me to have any sense of wanting to talk with someone that I know, you know, has lied. And one thing that he lied about was being descendants of Frederick Douglass. He's the one that told Umar that. I can pull up the video right now. He did do a video, not to get off topic, I'm gonna get back to this user. He did a video, but he took it down where he was explaining how he didn't understand why he was told that. See, the story doesn't make sense. If you listen closely to Umar, when he talks about certain things, the timeline doesn't make sense, and what he's saying doesn't make sense. See, because Jamal claims that he was an orphan. That for whatever reason, his mama wasn't able to raise him. And so there was times where he said he was homeless, and there was times he says that he was out on the streets, you know. And then at a certain point, he says that his grandmother, the grandmother decided to take them in. But then I said to myself, well, wait a minute. How do you know that you're a descendant of Frederick Douglass then? Was it that the grandmother told you that? Or was it that your mama told you that? You gotta see where I'm going here. See, only he could answer these questions. There's so much that just doesn't really make any sense. The way that he explains his childhood of not having a mother and basically being an orphan, and at a certain point he was living it. He was in the what do they call what do they call that? Where the children whose parents and they foster homes and foster care, and how he moved all around. Well, if you're in these foster homes and foster care, well, when do you learn that you're a descendant of Frederick Douglass? And the other thing is that if you're out there and you're not an active participant in Umar's life, then when does he learn that you're? And as Umar explains it, his daddy told him that he was a descendant. They're not descendants. The DNA proves it. I have some other information too. I'm just not going to share with people because the person already told. They told me I could, but I told them I don't want to put their name in all this. But you guys would be amazed at how crazy this stuff is. It's like me taking a DNA test and it coming back showing that I'm related to Umar. That's how crazy. I kid you not. And the brother was like, "No, go ahead." I said, "No, I don't want to do that. I don't even want to put your name in there like that." But the thing is that if Umar is a descendant, then this guy would be a descendant too. Then nobody ever tell him that he was. It's crazy. This stuff gets crazy, and a lot of this has come to light. A lot of the backstory has come to light. A lot of it doesn't make much sense to me either. Perhaps Jamal could provide clarity, but the thing is that I don't deal with people who lie. I don't care how old you are, you're in the military or any of that stuff. Okay, I really don't care about that. Integrity means everything to me. See, and if you're willing to lie and then you take a DNA test and proves that what you believe was not true, but then you renege, you take the video down and but I learned so much about DNA and blah. No, I don't want to. Now you sound like Umar. I ain't nothing I can say to you. Too old for that. See, I'm too old for it, and you too old for that. Anyway, let me get back to this. I apologize, people. We got 1,200 people. We ain't done 1,200 people in such a long time. You guys know that? It's funny because there's been people that say, "Oh, the Cookie Crush chat," and people don't be watching. No, people come when the time is right. You know what? I'm gonna do this documentary. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be segments, and it's gonna take some time to finally get to the end because I want to do a soundtrack to it and have the songs on there and all that stuff. So it's gonna be a long-term project. I'll just release it in segments, and then what I'll do is each segment, it won't be a finalized cut. It'll just be the segment that I'm working on. And then later down the line, by that time, FDMG probably be open. We'll do the final version of it, which would be the full version, probably close to 4 hours with a soundtrack and everything. I'm going to do it because people really need to understand the backstory and not. Let me say something else too, and then usually I'm gonna get back to what you're saying in this super chat. I'm not here to disparage Jamal Johnson at all. In fact, as I've researched into him and looked into him, I actually have a level of compassion for him too. But don't get it twisted, because right is right and wrong is wrong. See, there's been times where Jamal has criticized Umar, and back then I was like, yeah, he should be. But then when I think about it now, I'm like, he should have never done that. See, if you don't have a relationship with Umar, and it's been years, he admits that too. Yeah, and when we were on the same show together, because he used to call into the shows when I used to do live, have people call in, but we were on another show together. And I wasn't expecting him to be on that show, but they called him. I remember I told the individual, I said, "Y'all on some bullshit," and I told him that. They edited that part out, but I sure did say that to him. When we were on that show, I had asked him, I was like, when was the last time you talked with Umar? He says, "Well, I don't want to say." See, there you go. No, you tell the truth. See, if you're an absentee father for that family, see, think about this. Umar's mama, with all due respect, is living in poverty and living in hood hood-like conditions. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. And Umar's living with her when he can because of the enmeshment and the dependency issues. And he wants to frame it like he's a primary caretaker, but he's traveling all over the place. So who's taking care of this? And I thought to myself, if you're going to have, what is it? At least seven kids with this woman. Shouldn't you be helping her out? See, remember when Umar was telling the story about Susquehanna and where his mama and grandma, they would give him $1, hit the one. Did they go to go watch movies and get something to eat? He didn't talk about his daddy because by that time his daddy wasn't there. So Umar for a long time, and I'm not saying that it's been that long, but I'm saying that he's always had a very tumultuous relationship with his father. And it's not like his father was there for him every single day of Umar's life, young life and old life for that matter. So then once Umar comes into fame, I don't like this either because in my mind, his father's a clout chaser. He's clout chasing off of his own son. I don't like that shit at all. I really don't. If you weren't there to guide him properly and he gets so buck wild out of control to where he's doing what he's doing now, don't come in all in on the backside when Umar comes into fame and then chastise him for the world to see. That's not what you do. That's wrong. You're supposed to be a father. That's not what you do. Now, can I do that? Yeah, because I'm not Umar's daddy. Although sometimes I feel like, but that's not what you do as a father. And so there was a time where he would chastise Umar. And there's also times when he was promoting FDMG too. You guys know that? I should show you guys this. I found so much stuff. When you guys see it in the document, you're going to be like, what in the world? He used to promote FDMG, but then at a certain point, when people started asking questions about FDMG, he basically turned on Umar. Umar, in essence, he told his followers to get with his daddy. So Umar wrong too. But see, his daddy shouldn't have been clout chasing like that in the first place. Let me tell y'all something. Just like Umar likes attention, the histrionics and everything is about all eyes on me. Let me talk about D.L. Hughley to get all eyes on me. Let me talk about Barack Obama to get all eyes on me. Let me talk about blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? His daddy's the same way. Except he does it towards Umar. But see, if Umar hadn't gotten all the degrees and hadn't gotten to the Black conscious community and blew up after Hidden Colors and everyone was looking, but nowadays it's different. But if that didn't happen, you think Jamal would have been out online speaking on his son? No. See, that wasn't that. I didn't appreciate that. Am I defending Umar? No, I'm not defending Umar. But I have my own kids. And they be acting up and all, but no, that's not. But I'm here every single day. But I'm not going to be putting their business all out there like that. I'm not going to do that. See, even if they were online, I just wouldn't do that. See, but see, his daddy had to clout chase, and I didn't appreciate it about Jamal either. See, I don't really expect, this is the last point. I really don't expect Umar to ever tell the full truth because he's a habitual liar. And I don't believe that Jamal will ever come forth and tell the whole truth about Umar. I'm not saying that Jamal is a habitual liar. I do know that he has lied, in particular about this whole being a descendant of Frederick Douglass. I'm not calling him a habitual liar. But to still hold on to that after the DNA came back and said you're not related, that to me shows a serious lack of character. And then also to be speaking on your son when you did, based on the lack of connectedness that you had to your son because you were out and away doing your thing. I got pictures too. He was doing his thing. I think that it's inappropriate. It was inappropriate then, and it's inappropriate now. You should not be speaking on your son. All right, now let me get to these super chats. Then we're gonna get into the videos for today. So why does Umar act like Black culture is so essentialized and unchanging? Breakdancing was inspired by old kung fu movies. Umar don't know that breakdancing was inspired by it was also inspired by capoeira too, by the way. It was also inspired hip hop itself. A lot of people say that it's just funk music. No, it's not just funk music. It was also influenced by a disco. A lot of people don't want to admit that, but it was. In fact, doom, 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 do 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 do. Not that one. What am I talking about? What was the Sugar Hill Gang? Whatever that song was. That was a disco song. It was also inspired by funk. Also, Herbie Hancock had a lot to do, especially when he was doing the electronic stuff. It had a lot to do with hip hop. Because you listen to a lot of the early hip hop when people started producing stuff. A lot of it was electronic, and you can hear the heavy influence from people like Herbie Hancock. Anyway, and I go on and on. The point is that the music is an element of it. The rapping is an element. The graffiti is another element, and the dancing is an element too. Breakdancing, there was a lot of influence. It's not that breakdancing just popped out of nowhere. A lot of breakdancing moves from back in the day, Michael Jackson was doing when he was a kid. Hit the one. This is one of the problems, I think, when it comes to musical forms, where musical forms are genres, are cultures that are surrounded these genres are glamorized to the point where people lose touch with the reality of the situation. Hip hop was created by little boys. Many of these little boys didn't have an idea about what it meant to be a man. That's why when you listen to early hip hop, you listen to what they're talking about, sounds like little boys. A lot of it, you hear a lot of sexism in there. You hear a lot of misogyny in there. Well, that's because a lot of these little boys, they were around when the blaxploitation was very, very popular. And if you listen to blaxploitation, one of the preeminent elements of blaxploitation films was what I call pimp culture. And you hear it mimicked in hip hop, early hip hop. See, but see, when you romanticize a genre, and a lot of it has to do with just not feeling as if you have a level of worth in the larger society. So hip hop becomes everything to you, and at a certain point, it becomes like a god. In fact, they even have a hip hop church. I kid you not. They got what they call a hip hop Bible. I kid you not. These are people who've taken it to the point where they're delusional about the significance of it. No, it's a musical form that was created by little boys for the vast majority who did not have a high level of intelligence. I'm talking about they weren't educated, highly educated individuals. Doesn't mean that you have to be in order to create a genre of music that is profound. These are individuals who many of them didn't have fathers in the home. They've adopted these sexist ideas about Black women. Sexual promiscuity becomes a primary theme, and at a certain point, it becomes about violence. A lot of self-aggrandizing. Self-aggrandizing is a result of having low levels of self-esteem. But it's been romanticized for decades now, to the point where people look at it as if it's a religion. And there are people who really look at it like a religion. And in my opinion, it's not that at all. It's just another musical genre that came. And in terms of the essentials of hip hop, it's already gone. You guys listen to what's on the radio these days. Besides the rapping, there's no real relationship. I shouldn't say that. There are some elements that are still relatable. For the vast majority of it, if you listen to early hip hop and you compare it to what you hear on the radio today, it's like night and day. And there's reasons for that though too. Okay, I'm not here to disparage hip hop. What I'm saying is that a lot of people's perception of it, it's about romanticization. But if you really look at it critically as grown adults today, you'll find that it wasn't really all that, and it wasn't necessarily healthy for let's say the next generation and the next generation, and here we are into the third generation. Anyway, thank user 225. Okay, let me get to these other super chats, and then we're gonna get into the video for today. We got quite a bit to get into. Lewis Suck says, Jermaine Bates, if he takes you to the bando dressed like his mama, you done for her. Yeah, there is a character from In Living Color, and his name was Oswald Bates. If you guys ever remember that skit, Umar reminds me a lot of that guy. The person who really reminds me of him the most, Lewis Luck, is Polite. Well, they start talking and they start using words, and those words, they're trying to sound intelligent by the words that they're using. A lot of that comes out of like, I don't want to be like this, but the group that I remember hearing people talk like that the most, you would hear people in the Nation of Islam that would do that, but also the 5%ers. I remember hearing them talk like that too. And people like Polite too, if you listen to hear him talk, especially earlier on, he would do that too. Well, Umar's the same way. It's called what you call slick talking. And I'll say that that's one of the reasons why this school scam has gone on this long, is because Umar, he can slick talk his way out of pretty much anything. You know, and that's what allowed for this carrot to be dangled for this long, because he slick talks people to death. Well, I shouldn't say to death, but to the point where their intellectual faculties are compromised. One of the tactics that they often use, people like Umar, Jay Morrison, Polite, and there's plenty of others, is that they keep talking. They don't pause to let you gather your thoughts. And so they may say something that you don't quite understand, but they keep talking, they keep talking, they keep talking. And it's almost like putting you in a state of confusion, but the confusion is to their advantage, because as long as they can keep you confused and keep you listening, they can say whatever they want to you. And you're going to at least halfway believe it. And if they tell a lie more and more and more, you're going to believe it at a certain point. I have a video where Umar's talking about Hitler and how, and Goebbels, and how their propaganda machine was so, quote unquote, well oiled, wherein they understood, and Goebbels understood, that if you repeat a lie over and over and over again, at a certain point, people are going to believe it. And that's precisely what Umar does. He understands that from a psychological standpoint. At first, the lie seems ridiculously improbable. You're like, no, there's no way that that's true. But if you keep telling it over and over again, well, then people begin to believe it. And that's why people will say things like, well, he hasn't collected enough money. Okay, what is the foundation? Where are the receipts that prove that he doesn't have enough money? Or you don't have them. Yeah, but see, he lied to you, and he told the lie so many times that you believe it to be true. Umar Johnson, he told y'all, listen, the people, the haters, it's the haters are trying to sabotage. Ain't nobody doing nothing to Umar. He's a self-saboteur. He said the same thing about the UNIA back in 2005. He said the same thing about FDMG in 2024, going into 2025. But see, if he repeats a lie enough, you Umar Johnson files, you believe it. And because he repeats it, you run with it. There's a whole list. I have the top 10 excuses that Umar Johnson, and it's through repetition of lies over and over and over again that people begin to believe it to be true. And that's one of the reasons why this has gone on this far. So people like Polite, that's why he was able to do what he was able to do for such an extended period of time. That's why Umar has been able to do what he's been able to. That's why Jay Morrison has been able to do what he was able to do for such a long period of time. He collected $11.5 million. So it's about keeping people's attention. You keep talking, and it's almost as if you never really have an end point. You just keep running your mouth and telling them lies over and over again. And as long as you keep them listening and keep running your mouth, they're not going to have time to really think about it. And at a certain point, they start to believe it. But that's what Umar Johnson does. Okay? And that's what Bates used to do. Okay, thanks, Lil Sack. All right, let me get to these other ones real quick. User 225 says, Umar's favorite ice cream is cookie dough. He likes his underbaked. Yeah, I've heard him say stuff like that. That's the sex part of this. These individuals are unique. Each one of them, they have characteristics that are similar, but then there are also individuals that are very much unique. And in Umar's case, he's unique because it's not just about money for him. It's about control. It's about getting attention. It's about power. It's also about crushing the cookies, which is sex. See, Jay Morrison, I don't see it as being about sex. I do see it about being control, but I think overwhelmingly it's about money. And I remember he had mentioned how he has a hatred for poverty. Okay, if you have a hatred for something, okay, nothing's ever going to be enough. You have a hatred for poverty, and I've been there. If you have a hatred for it, no amount of money is ever going to be enough. And that's why no matter what happens with Jay Morrison, however much money he collects, with whatever scheme he's running, he's always going to end right back up where he was at in the first place. Same thing with Polite. So Polite was about money. Polite was about control. Polite was also about sex, as he's in jail for it. See, so different motivating factors. Some people, they have a higher motivating factor, but then they have lesser motivating factors. I think with Umar, I really think that the essential aspect of this is the sexual exploitation of Black women. But I also think, in my opinion, that his need to sexually exploit Black women really has to do with underlying issues with enmeshment when it comes to his mother. Going all the way back when he was in the 9th grade, and his father decided to ship him away. And him, out of all the kids, nobody else, ship him away to a boarding school, military school, private school. And from that point on, he didn't have the type of connection to his mother that he was so used to. And then he goes into college, and he's in college for over a decade. He at a certain point, he starts to live with his mama. And then that level of enmeshment continues up into the more present history with Umar Johnson. It's just right now he can't stay there inside his mama's closet. That's why you see him live streaming in cars, looking like he just rolled out of bed, because in essence, he just rolled out of bed. So I'm sure I'm saying this speculating, but I shouldn't say sure. I will speculate that Umar, and there is times where he just sleeps inside of his car. When he has money to get a hotel, he'll go get a hotel motel. But when the money's not coming in and people aren't sending him the CashApp and sending the PayPal, he'll just go ahead and sleep inside of his car. Okay. All right. Lewis Duck also says, are we being technical because he technically opened the door to FDMG to go in and sleep and get high, now hiring staff and students in that story? Yeah. Well, the thing is that when I say a school is a place of learning, and you Umar Johnson followers, don't allow him to dangle the carrot. You have to say, okay, if he's saying he's going to open up a school, what is the definition of open and what is the definition of a school? Well, you got to define what a school is first. A school is a place of learning. So to open one would mean that, in this case, you would have to have a fully functional, accredited school, place of learning, and you open up the doors, and children are being taught, and consistently. Can you imagine Umar? He'd probably be late every single day. I have a video where he says he likes to sleep. He just likes to take naps. He likes to sleep. He likes to eat. He likes to crush cookies. He likes to turn the heat down. None of that is, how are you going to run a school like that? It's impossible. So what I'm saying, Lewis Luck, is the definitions have to be in place. A school is a place of learning, so he has to open up a fully functional, accredited place of learning, and that's not going to happen. You Umar Johnson followers who still believe you guys have to stop with the carrot. The carrot. He's been doing this to you all, and I can pull up example after example. In fact, I'm not going to pull up because we can do it as a separate video. I want to live stream tomorrow. And maybe we can at least get into this tomorrow. I have in my note, it's a separate document, but I call it School Grand Opening Date Changes. And I'll just read this to you. I'm not going to pull these up, but if you guys want me to, I can pull up a couple of them, but I want to make sure we get into them. Maybe we can do it towards the end. But in let's say 2005, he conceptualized FDMG. In 2017, this was live from Cleveland, Ohio. He talks about this. It's called This Far by Faith, the Fight to Build FDMG. Okay, he talks about the conceptualization. He said it was going to open in 2015. He said, and I have it here where he said it's going to open in 2019, 2020. There's also, and I have it in my other notes too, on a separate document. I just haven't merged them together. I can pull it up where it just goes year by year. I go 15 to 19, but I have 16 and 17 where I can show where he said that the school was going to open. Either the school was going to open, that he was going to purchase a school. You can throw those in there too together. They're not mutually exclusive. 2019, I got 2 examples of that. 2020, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 examples of that. 2021, I have 3 examples of that. 2023, I have 2 examples of that. 2024, I have 3 examples. Okay, he said it was going to open in January of this year. He said it was going to open up in February, Black History Month of this year. He also said it was going to open up April of 2024. And then, of course, he said it was going to open today of 2024. And that's what I'm going to show you guys in just a minute, that last one. But I have all these other ones in this. I haven't merged the other document where I'm taking notes on this other stuff. I haven't merged those receipts with this page. And this other document is, I'm at 64 pages. It goes back to 2010, 2008. No, I'm sorry. 2010 is where I started having receipts of Umar online talking about different aspects, or at least ideas of opening up a school. But I also have I also have his aliases. There's another alias I need to put on there too. Jermaine Shoemake, Jermaine Shoemaker, Umar Johnson, Umar Abdullah Johnson, Jermaine Johnson, Umar Abdullah Rashad Ibn Johnson, Umar Abdullah Rashad Ibn Abdullah Johnson, Umar Rashad Ibn Abdullah Johnson, Jermaine Abdullah Johnson, Umar Abdullah Ifatunde Johnson, Ifatunde Oguntade, Prince Ifatunde, and there's another one that a lot of people don't know about, and I have it in my other document. No, it's actually in this document. I just haven't put it on right here. It's when he went to Ghana, and he was all dressed. I think he was dressed in all white, and they did a naming ceremony, and that's when he was over there, and he was going into the slave dungeons and stuff too. He was actually taken. Well, I tell you, this guy, he's sick. There's you know what, should I tell you all this? I'm not gonna say it, when I start putting out these segments of the documentary, when you guys see it, you know what I'm talking about right here. But if you're willing to do what he did inside of a slave dungeon, it shows you how much of a twisted freak off this guy is. And I'm gonna leave it right there. But he got a naming ceremony, and there's another name I don't have on this particular alias list, but I do have it inside my notes down below. I just haven't merged it. That's another thing to look out for. People who have aliases, they have all these different names. Always look out for that. And Jamal Johnson, he has a government name too, and I have that information too. I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm trying to be kind to that guy too, but he just, I know that he lies too, and that's a doggone shame. It really is. He really shouldn't be speaking on Umar. He should have never come out to speak about Umar either. All that should have been had privately. But see, he didn't have a relationship with Umar. But that's not Umar's fault. That's why you men, you got to be present in your children's lives from the beginning. And even if you're off, you have other stuff, you got to remain in contact with them, whatever. Really, ideally, you want to be there present 24 hours a day. Okay. But that's not the situation for most people. But you can't be absent for 4, 5, 6, 7 years and then start another family. And then, the other kids, it's a gang of them too. You're not putting in the time to be with them and to deal with them and also take care of the mother that you, anyway, it's sad. I was going to say this earlier. I need to get my lighting together. It's baffling to me that Jamal could get online and criticize Umar, but it's clear to me that he hasn't been an active participant in Umar's life or Umar's siblings' life, the siblings that are associated with his mama. And when I was going through Jamal Johnson's social media, what I noticed was that he would put pictures of his other family. I also have this one picture where it shows all of them together. Both of one of them passed away. Rest in peace. You know, I gotta always do that for respect purposes. But Umar's mom was in there too, and all the kids. Umar standing towards the back on the left side. He's really, really tall. Everyone else is really, really short because I think he's the oldest from what I understand. No. This is why I think that Jamal has 11, or is it 12? Because he did mention that he had a daughter that he conceived when he was in junior high school. I thought he said junior high school. Let me get this. I'm not going to show this receipt, but let me just, because I don't want to mistake that. It might have been in high school, but I thought he said junior high school. That's the court case. This is his military history. That's the, no, I don't have it right here. It'll come up like this though. And this was, and he didn't say it directly. It's an article that was written about him. I have it archived for sure, but I don't think I have it. I don't have it bookmarked like I should have it. I think I have it in my notes somewhere. Yeah, I have the. Let me see something. Okay. Yeah, here it is right here. I just had to think about it for a second. I mean, I've been going through so much stuff, but that's how my mind works. Like, you know, I have a whole database. I just got to access stuff. I try to keep it copious notes and keep it organized and stuff, but then sometimes I try to go off the top of the head. Yeah, at the time, it says a father of 9. So maybe it is 9, not 10. But I thought it was 10 and plus one more. But it's not here nor there. So now father of 9 with grandchildren and great grandchildren. He had his first child when he was in middle school. He was a middle school student, too young to work legally. And so it says he lied about his age and worked 2 jobs to support his baby. That's how I bought the Pampers and everything else. It was rough, he said. So, and that's his eldest daughter. So I'm going to assume that was his first child. So that would mean that Umar is not the oldest child. He's the oldest male, though. I know that. So this is all to say that what I was saying before was correct. This is, and obviously this particular article, you guys can look it up for yourself. I'm not going to provide a link. I'll tell you the title of. You can go. You can type in "Meet the North Philly raised Marine veteran who forced the city's hand on gun violence," and it was written by Layla A. Jones, March 16, 2021. There's pictures of Umar and his dad. Not Umar, of Umar's father Jamal when he was in the military, and then a more recent picture of him. And then there's older pictures of him when he was a drill sergeant. And I've collected all this other information, also baby picture, or when he was a toddler in here too. Yeah. You know, when he was, there's also a picture when he was in the post office. He filed suit against the post office too. I had a friend, if you guys ever see the picture of Umar's dad, Jamal, when he was in the military, and he has on the hat and everything. It's one of the first picture you see on this article. I had a friend when I was in high school, junior high. No, wait a minute. Well, let me just say it this way: 6th through 12th grade. His name was Sharif, and people used to talk like we used to look like each other. I don't think we really look like each other. We look like we could have been cousins, maybe cousins, but there were people who thought we were brothers. But the thing is, when I saw the picture of Umar Johnson's father when he went into the Marines, he reminds me of my old friend Sharif. Like when I was looking, I said, that looks like Sharif right there. Anyway, if you guys want to look that up, you're welcome to look it up. All that information is, and a whole lot more information is inside of that article. The thing I want to say too, though, is I'm not here to disrespect Jamal, because I think that he has achieved some wonderful things. He graduated. He went to Temple. I think it was Temple University, and he got a degree. I can't remember what the degree is in right now off the top of my head. But he's achieved some things. I just think that earlier on he was involved with some stuff, and he wasn't necessarily a committed young man, and he was, as we used to say, he's out there in them streets, chasing, and there were consequences for that, and that's one of the reasons why I always thought. I shouldn't say I always thought. As I've gotten older and wiser, I feel as if it was inappropriate for him to speak on Umar, even if he didn't agree with Umar. It's totally irrelevant. Umar wasn't raised by Jamal consistently. And for that fact alone, you should not come in on the back end and try to chastise or criticize your son online for the world to see. If you're going to do that as a father, first of all, you have to have a working relationship with your son in the first place, which Jamal has not had for many years. But secondly, it should not be done online. That should be done offline. Okay. I remember I even asked him, I said one time, well, are you saying you want Umar to come and live with you? He was like, oh, no, that's not what I'm, yeah, okay. All right. Okay, thanks, Ulasuk. John Henry says the pro-black measuring stick Umar champions equates to nothing more than back to Africa bamboozling. Yeah, there's a lot of people who talk that black back to Africa and Africa this and blah, blah, blah. But if that's the case, why don't they go to Africa? you know what I'm saying, John Henry? Well, Umar really reminds you of like a teenager who's just getting into black consciousness, because I've been there myself. I used to wear the dashikis and everything. Okay, and I was all, blackity this, blackity, but I said, it's a bunch of bull jive. Just trying to find somewhere to fit in and trying to find some sort of an identity. But a lot of what Umar says is antiquated rhetoric, And this whole back to Africa thing, listen, people, there's more people over in Africa trying to get up over here than there are black people trying to go over to Africa. Let's be real about it. I don't mean to laugh, but that's the truth. But just like with hip hop, John Henry, there's people who sensationalize and glamorize and romanticize hip hop. Well, a lot of people, they do the sensationalize, glamorize, romanticize Africa as if Africa ain't got its own problem. And that's Africa's one thing. It's like we were saying earlier, you know, as if black culture is one thing. I've really been thinking about this. We had a show where we were talking about, okay, what does it mean to be black exactly? And I've been thinking about it. Like, there was one brother, you know, he's an OG in the Cook Crest chat. He has some really interesting points. And even though I could understand it, there was some stuff like, I don't believe that. But then I was thinking about it. Then I was like, wait a minute, you know, because I tend not to think in terms of blackness being one thing. You know, it's like, is it really just culture, or is it genetics? Is it your shared history? It can't be culture though, because we have different culture. You know, it's not all one thing. You know, some black people culture is to have a gang of baby mamas. That's not my culture at all. I don't believe in that. You know, and it's let me give you an example, John. I remember it was a guy. He passed away recently too. Rest in peace. But he knew my daddy back in the day. He knew my mama, knew my family stuff. But I ended up working for him. This is when I was at this community center in the hood, and working with these disadvantaged kids. And I remember one time he met Aida like long time before. He met Aida, but then I was gone for a while. Then I ended up coming back, and then I told him, I said, yeah. He says, well, yeah, how's Aida doing? I said, good. I said, and how's the kids? I said, yeah, I had 2 more. You know, and at that time I think it would have been 4. And he says, you got 4 kids? I said, yeah. He said, yeah. He says, all with the same woman? I said, what in the world? What you mean a black man can't have 4 children with the same woman? We got 5 now, okay? I was going to say 6, but, you know, it's just me, you know. I don't even know how we had the ones we got. 5. Me and my wife, we done made love 5 times, family. 5, that's it, 5 times. 5 times, 5 kids, that's it. But it's, you know, that's cultural, where you think that, and it's expected for black men to have a gang of kids with a gang of baby mamas. That's not my culture. I don't believe in that. You know, and I can say like the generation before mine, that was part of their culture, but my generation, like my cousins and stuff, you know, in general, that's not how, you know, we did better. We, you know, most of us, we present. We got a gang of baby mamas. Some got a couple of them, you know, but the expectation is for all of us to have that. You know, that's one thing I say. I'm proud of my generation, because we definitely did better in general than the previous generation when it comes to being present in your children's lives and not having all these kids all over the place and not taking care of your kids. But what I'm saying, John Henry, is that's a cultural thing, and people think that black, meaning what black is cultural, and it's just one thing. And a lot of people, it's like about being hood and being what we would call ratchet and being, you know, you got to be from the streets. But that's not the whole black experience. The black experience is much more complex than that. Again, that has to be considered too. Anyway, the point is, when it comes to this whole idea of pro-black, there are a lot of people they associate going back to Africa with being pro-black. Well, that's the case. Going back to Africa, and let's see. You see what I'm saying? It's just rhetoric, and it's rhetoric that was around 100 years ago. You know, they still running with the same stuff to this day. You know. Thanks, John Henry, for a super chat. John Henry also says there are blacks who project disenfranchisement, pseudo ghetto intellect. Well, that's what I'm talking about, though. In part, I wasn't talking about the intellectuals in part, but the pseudo ghetto aspect from a position of poverty with an attitude of superiority as well. And you're absolutely right. This isn't necessarily associated with what you're saying, but there's a correlation here, and I hope I can draw it to where it makes sense to people. I was thinking about this today because I was thinking about Kamala Harris and how everyone is, not everyone, but there's a lot of people talking about whether she's black. It really shouldn't matter in the first place. Okay, it shouldn't matter whether she's black. Okay, in my mind, it doesn't matter. Policy matters more to me than anything else. Okay, I will be voting this year. But the thing is that I find it fast. It is wild to me how there are people who consider themselves black, and they will, when it's convenient for them, they will try to deny other people of their blackness because it's convenient to them, not realizing that how they were defined as being black had nothing to do with them in the first place. That was the colonizer who came up with that shit. And so here we are, you know, hundreds of years later, and now we're policing who's black. When in point of fact, giving the social status of blackness wasn't something that we invented. I mean, who's going to say, you know, I'm going to call myself black because I want to associate with this hierarchy here in the United States of America, and I'm going to be at the lowest rung of this hierarchy where white is at the top. Who does that? That's what I'm saying. I hope you're seeing the correlation here. This whole and then on top of trying to police who else is black and how black they are, based upon a lot of it is based upon the sense that we're more superior to someone else, and that in order for these other people to be considered to be black, they have to, I don't know, be from the streets, dog, as they say. I don't know. One other thing too, when it comes to this whole attitude of superiority, the other thing I've noticed with the whole thing about Kamala Harris and people really talking about her lineage and all this stuff, I've been thinking, because she has a father who is Jamaican, and I haven't heard too many people talk about this, and I don't even know if it really applies to her, but it's something for people to consider, because here in the United States of America, quote unquote, us as black people, we do tend to have a sense of superiority over other groups of people who also went through enslavement, just not here in the United States of America. Now that's some wild shit right there. As if, what it means to be black in the struggle is about what we experience here in the United States of America as black people, not realizing or not even considering in many cases, some cases they just don't know, that the vast majority of slaves from African slaves went to South America, Brazil. And then secondarily, that the vast majority, the next segment of them, the vast majority come over. No. They went down there to the Caribbean, places like Jamaica. Did you guys know that? But I think it's a sense of superiority. It's crazy because it's a sense of slavery superiority. Shit. Because we're black, and because we went through this black experience, and our ancestors were slaves, and they had to go to the black codes, and they have to go through Reconstruction, they had to all this other stuff, and Jim Crow. And as Umar says, the prison to school to prison pipeline, that somehow we're the superior slave. That's wild, boy. That's wild. I was thinking about this the other day. I know I'm off topic, John, but there is a bit of a correlation here, but I was really thinking about this the other day. It might have been today. I thought it was yesterday. And so people from the Caribbean, that even though more enslaved Africans went to Brazil and to the Caribbeans than came up over here, but somehow, we are the ones who define what it means to be black and blackness, so forth and so on. Now, part of it has to do with the social structure of the United States of America. I get that too, but this sense of superiority, that's something that's wild to me. Okay, I know I kind of got a little bit off track. There is a correlation that I can kind of see, but other people may not see it. But let me reread this, and we're going to move on here. There are blacks who project disenfranchised pseudo-ghetto intellectualism from a position of poverty with an attitude of superiority as well. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, John, for super chats. Cheryl, what's up, Cheryl? Second more says, crazy how Umar always goes after people who are infinitely more successful than he is. Guess it's best to aim high. Yeah, that's what he has done traditionally. I think he does it more now, Cheryl Second more, just because the levels of relevancy has decreased over the years. See, if you run a school scam for this long, you're going to fall off, and people aren't going to support you and follow you like you used to. So you have to do something to get the same amount of attention that you got before. And so that's why Umar, he's ratcheted up his attacks against black people more and more as we progressed over the years. Whereas if you go on earlier on, let me tell you something. If you guys go back and listen to early Umar Johnson videos, he targeted Barack Obama a lot. That's because, Umar wants to have that level of authority, and he feels superior to every single black person. So the idea of another person that he wouldn't call black, he called him an octoroon or something like that. He said, no, he called him a half Negro. That's what Umar called him. He called him a half Negro. He doesn't want to see this quote unquote half Negro getting into that position of power because I'm Umar Johnson, I'm Big Papa, I should be there. So it wasn't that he didn't attack black, he just didn't do it as much. But he mainly, I'm talking about successful black people and people who are, considered to be, what is the word? Someone who's a celebrity. Okay. What he mainly used to degrade and target is black parents. See, but what has happened over the years is as his rhetoric doesn't pull the same amount of people, he doesn't get the same amount of lectures, people don't show up like he used. He has to find a way to stay relevant. And the main vehicle that Umar has done that is by attacking black people and then making statements that are so polarizing that people have to take a listen. See, and those are the two strategies: attack successful black people, even though he's homeless, and when he wasn't homeless, he lived inside his mama's closet. He's living inside a hotel and motel rooms now, begging for everything. Or he'll pick hot topic, topics like and polarizing topics like interracial relationships. He even once said that he wants to abolish interracial relationships. Okay, well, here we go. See? Thanks, Cheryl, second board. Hope you're doing all right. John Henry also says the perspective of a rectum gets shiesty while doing a Michelle being nice. That's that slicks. Yeah. let me get that off of there though. Okay, but I see your point. Umar says Umar Johnson's black. Keep up the great work. This is why we can't have. Okay, never mind. Okay, let's move on. Thank you for the super chat. One and the only DJ Nick's Nash says, to be called a doctor, your CEs have to be complete. And you're talking about continuing education. This is another thing that people tend not to talk about with Umar is that Umar may say that he has these certifications, but it's obvious, it should be obvious anyway to anyone that he's not keeping up with those certifications. There's something called continuing education. And that's to keep your certifications current. So you can get a certification, let's say in 2024, but it depends on what the certification is. By 2028 or 2027 or 2026, you have to either get another certification or you have to like engage in what they call continuing education. It can be going to a lecture or reading a certain literature or what have you, or whatever the case may be. But what it does is it shows that you're current. See, every single field changes over time. The medical field changes over time. The political science changes over time. Same thing, obviously, with psychology. You know, there's all types of different things. I mean, they had the DSM, they change that from time to time too. So the point is that you have to get the continuing education in order to maintain your certification. Umar hasn't done that. See, that's why when Umar says he has all these certifications, what have you, you can't go online and find any of that. Now, guess what? There was a time when you could. Because I remember early on when I started getting into Umar, you could find certain things online. Oh, yeah, he does that. But you can't find it now. And the reason why is because he hasn't kept up with his continuing educations. And if you do your continuing education, it's like getting credits, and those credits will go towards maintaining your certification. But that's not what Umar does. When would he have time to do anything like that anyway? You see? So this is another thing when we talk about Umar, it's not just the school scam and the money and the power and the sexually exploiting black women. Part of the issue is the misrepresentation of who he is and his status. He'll say I'm a school psychologist, but he's not a school psychologist. How are you going to be a school psychologist if you're homeless? You don't even have an office. Has anyone ever seen Umar in his office? Now, I remember when Tariq Nasheed, he went in on Umar. Umar had been taking shots at Tariq Nasheed for a couple of years. And Tariq just kept letting him be in the Hidden Colors. That's how Umar blew up, was through Hidden Colors. But Tariq said it. He said that when they first went to go interview Umar was like inside. He expected Umar to be in an office, and I'm paraphrasing, but because he's supposed to be a school psychologist, right? And he said it was like a storage spot. Umar been living like that for such a long time. So the idea of someone like that who doesn't have his own home, he's living in storage units, he's living inside his mama's closet. Now he's homeless. He's traveling all over the world. When does he even have time to do the appropriate amount of study to get to keep current on anything? You see, so that's one of the big issues with Umar, how he has misrepresented himself to the people. And based upon my research, he didn't get his PhD until 2012, and yet in 2010 he was claiming to be a PhD. And that's how, when he was getting paid as a quote unquote school psychologist, he was getting paid PhD level money. And that's why when they would have him on as an expert witness, it was they were assuming that he was really a PhD. And there's documents online, court documents online. You'll see they're referring to Umar as Dr. Johnson. But that was in 2010, going into 2011. How is that possible when you didn't even have the doctorate at that time? See, he was misrepresenting himself then. He still does it to this day, including with these certifications. Good point. People tend not to talk about this, but this is a very important point for people to remember. And that goes to show you the lack of professionalism. Because someone who's really professional, they keep up on their certifications, because otherwise it's like a waste. Why would you study to get a certification and then you don't keep it current? See, what you're going to do is you're going to do whatever, and it'll be minimal compared to what you had to do to get the certification in the first place. You do the work that needs to be done minimally in order to maintain that certification. Umar, he hasn't done that. That's why you can't find anything online that shows that he's done any of that. See? He will tell people that he has, though. See? Thanks for super chat. Miss Con, what's up? Miss Con first says, "What's up, Doe, Lenon, and Cook? What's up, man? Thanks for tuning on in. You had me thinking too the last couple of days from last week. Admittedly, I bumped X-Clan and ISIS back in 19. I used to bump X-Clan too. I ain't gonna lie. Gen X, men were respected, women were virtuous, and children did not speak until spoken to. Yeah, it's a different time period. But yeah, I used to I bumped X Clan. I bumped what was that group? There was another group. I can't remember what it was. That was really in the mid 90s was really popping. It was all a Black Star. I think it was Black Star because what's the name in that group? He went solo. Because I used to listen to him too. I can't remember his name either. I'm getting old. But yeah, no, I was into all that. I used to wear the dashikis, and I was the African Union, it was called the African American Student Union president at one point. And I was all into that. I was into that for many years. I actually think that whole period, it actually prepared me later on to get into conspiracy theory paradigm. Because a lot of that stuff teetered on conspiracy theory too. You know, white man this and white man that. Anyway, thanks, John, him for a super chat. But it does matter. What matters? Oh, that she's Black. Well, that's the thing. To me personally, I don't think it matters. That's another topic for another show. Okay, but I don't. To me, I wouldn't weigh that. I wouldn't say, okay, because Kamala's Black, that it's going to make me want to vote for her or not vote for her. It's just not something I consider. Now, other people, yeah, maybe it matters to them, but to me personally, it doesn't matter. You know, it's just not something that I would consider. I think that it's become an issue, and it's become an issue unnecessarily. You know, I've heard her talk on Black issues, and it seemed like she was presenting herself as being Black, but then I also heard her identify herself today. Someone had posted the video, and it's an older video where she talks about how she identifies as Southeast Asian or something like that. Okay, now then the question, because I always try to come to the middle ground, I said to myself, was it possible that she's both? I mean, is it mutually exclusive? This is a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. I wanted to do it this week to start a series of talk about politics, and we can talk about this particular issue. But I really want to focus on the policy more than anything else. But again, what is Blackness? You know, and should it matter when it comes to Kamala Harris? In my opinion, it shouldn't matter. You know, I wouldn't consider, like, for instance, if Trump was Black, it wouldn't make me no difference. Like, well, to me, it just doesn't matter. You know. Anyway. Thanks for that. ADOS guy says the FDMG website is up, so that is a pipeline. Okay, to be clear, that's not the official FDMG website. Umar does not have an official FDMG website. Okay, you're probably talking about FDMG which is an academy. That's fraud that's going on there. I think it's based out of Atlanta. I think they have some music of mine on there too. Okay, either they're clowning Umar or they're trying to scam because they have donation buttons there too. Okay, but no, he doesn't have an FDMG website. FDMG it's not associated with Umar, but I know what you're talking about, though. All right, thanks for the chat. Okay, let me get these last two, and then we get to the show. Get into the show, even though we are 2 hours in. Mr. Controversy says to understand Rachel Dolezal, George Santos is to understand why Kamala cosplaying as a Black woman is important and should be a concern for Black people. Yeah, I get it. I get it. If someone is pretending to be a certain way to get their votes, I get it. However, and I'm not excusing it, I wouldn't be surprised at that because it's politics. See, politics will say whatever they need to say. They'll behave. They'll even change how they talk sometimes. They try to sound a little blackety black. Bill Clinton did this. I talked about the example of Bill Clinton when he was playing blues saxophone on the Arsenio Hall show. Okay, that's just grandstanding. That's to give people this idea that they know and understand what it means to be Black and that they're going to be for you and blah, blah, blah. And that doesn't mean that it's true, though. You know, so is Kamala Harris doing that? Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Is it right? Probably not. You know, but that's politics. You know, I wouldn't necessarily hold that against her. What I want to see is what the policy is clearly outlined. I want to see what the policy is. And in my opinion, from what I've seen so far in my research, her policy isn't as clearly defined at this point right now compared to Trump. But again, they're supposed to be having a debate. If that takes place, I'm sure that all this stuff will be ironed out. And based upon policy, that's what I'll decide. Now, her, trying to play the race card a bit, is it right? Probably not, but it's politics. That's what they do. You know, everyone's done that. You know, I shouldn't say everyone, but most politicians, if they're trying to get the Black vote, they're going to do what they have to do. Just like if they're trying to get the Latino vote, they're going to do what they have to do. You know, they'll get out there at selling enchiladas and shit. You know, they'll get up there. You know, they start talking in Spanish. See, and they ain't never said no Spanish in their whole life, but they'll throw some Spanish words in there just to kind of connect to people. That's what people do. Okay, is it right? No, but that's politics. Okay. Now, the question I would have for you, Ms. Controversy, if it matters to you that she's doing that, will it dissuade you from voting for her because she's done that? I mean, that's the real question, because at the end of the day, I'm looking at policy more than the shenanigans, you know. Okay, thanks for the super chat, Ms. Conference. And then Barry says the Nazis' Nuremberg laws were nearly word for word came directly from the Jim Crow law. But I know that's what let me say this. I didn't know that. Okay, but I want to say this, that Jim Crow was serious. You know, it was serious. The black codes, serious. I know earlier I said that this idea, the sense of superiority that we tend, what I've seen and I've observed, that, you know, of what it means to be black. Part of what I'm saying too is that there are others, people around the world who have darker skin complexion, and they so want to be quote unquote black, as in black, quote, what we would call African Americans or Black Americans, but they don't even live here, but they still want to be black. So why is that the case? Well, part of it is it's the sense of superiority that has been put out there, that somehow as black people in the United States of America, we're somehow special. We're more special than, let's say, the descendants of slaves that are in the Caribbean, or the descendants of slaves that went over to Brazil or any other place around the world. You see, that's just something to consider. But this to say that it's very much unique what the descendants of slaves have experienced here compared to other places. And Jim Crow was a beast. You know, we can also look at places like South Africa with apartheid. You know, that was serious. You know, but for the period of time that enslaved Africans were here, and the descendants of those enslaved Africans were here in the United States of America, and the types of things that as a group of people we had to deal with, it's been serious. But it does not mean that somehow we're special, you know, or that somehow we are superior. We're superior slaves in essence, or superior descendants of slaves. I just don't look at things like that. I tend to look at it as it's a system, and it's a hierarchy. The hierarchy is that the white, quote unquote, white race is at the top, whatever that's supposed to mean, white race. Then you have the yellow, and they don't use that terminology anymore, Barry. As you know, I don't know if you remember, they used to call people from Asia yellow, the yellow man. And then, so you had white, you had yellow, and then you had brown. Yeah, brown would be next. Okay, and that would be like, I guess you can say people from Samoa, you know, that area, Kauai. And then you had red. That was the natives. That was what they called Indians. Okay, but it's really Native Americans. And then at the bottom, you had the blacks. That would be us. That's the hierarchy. And because of that hierarchy, there's been so much that people who are at the bottom of this social hierarchy has had to deal with in society here in the United States of America, including the Jim Crow laws, black codes, and a whole host of other things too. You know, it's amazing, because it wasn't too long ago where black people couldn't even use the same drinking fountains as white people. It's not that long ago. I mean, if you really think about it, it really wasn't that long ago since, you know, our ancestors were enslaved. I mean, you can go back, what, 5, 6 generations, and there we are, we're in slavery. I'm saying we, but really our ancestors, they're just enslaved. It's right there. 6, 7 generations, it's right there. So I want to say this before we get into the video for today, that during this live stream, I'm not here to say that somehow the black experience has not been, or what we would call the black experience in the United States of America has not been difficult. I just don't consider it to be special, because there's nothing special or more special about being a descendant of a slave here in the United States of America compared to a descendant of a slave over in Brazil. It's all based upon a hierarchy and a system that is global, and it's a problem. Right? All right, thanks, Barry. All right, let's get into the video for today. Man, this went off and in all day. Cheryl Second says, black men want Sister Soldier to run for president, and that's never going to happen. They don't know that woman to know what she's doing. Yeah, I remember Sister Soldiers. I think some of it is just this idea of black militancy. And I'm about to say something that's going to be controversial, but I'm going to say it. You hear a lot of the black militancy in the rhetoric, not only of certain leaders and certain organizations, and a lot of it was just grandstanding. You also heard it in hip hop too, but a lot of it was just grandstanding. And I'm going to say something, that a lot of that black militancy talk You guys ever had a dandelion and you took it and you held it like this and then you went and all of the stuff just went away? That's what it comes to mind. You know, it looks legit. It looks like it's, you know, oh wow, this is incredible. I'm talking about black militancy, but at the end of the day, when it comes to getting down to the real deal, it's like, and it's gone. It reminds me of there was a group of I can't remember what the group's name was, but they would go around and they would dress in like military grade attire, and they would have rifles and, you know, different weaponry and body armor, and you know, it's like this whole idea of black militancy. Polite was into that too for a while too, by the way. I remember I said it years ago. I said it's just grandstanding, and you guys are gonna keep grandstanding until it catches up to you, and then y'all gonna end up in jail because it really doesn't serve any purpose. What purpose it is just a show. It's like a show of force, but a force for what? It's grandstanding. Well, what ended up happening is the leader, that guy, they sent him to jail. I think he's still in jail to this day. So what I'm getting at is that the whole idea of black militancy, that's not the answer, because it's an extreme attitude and extreme view towards solving social ills, and it doesn't solve any problems really. It's just grandstanding. That's it, you know. And I remember Sister Soldier. She was controversial. I used to listen to her too a little bit, at least back in the day when she came onto the scene. I think she was associated. I thought she was associated with what was that group? I can't think of that group right now. It was the black conscious group out of New York. You got to fight the power. I thought she was associated with them for a while too. Anyway, Chuck D and them. Okay, thanks for your second part. Let's get to the video for today. Okay, I apologize, everyone. This has been more of a diatribe today, and there's actually 3 videos I wanted to get to, but it looks like we're going to only have the time to get to 1. Okay. Before I do that though, and I haven't been in the chat room. I'm like 480 messages in the chat room behind. Okay, no, it wasn't the Black Panthers. It was let's see. Did anyone put the name in here? I can't remember what the name of that group is. Yeah, no, yeah. I was talking about Public Enemy, but before that, was it In Fact? Because the guy they sent him to jail. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's them. I didn't know that that's what that means. Yeah, his name was Grandmaster J. That's why I thought it was one of the from the Furious 5 at first. I said, "Oh, he done gone military." So they done locked him up. They don't be out put me to the close to the edge. I said, they don't push you to the edge. I think he's still. I think he in jail still. Yeah, X-Clan, that's what it was. I'm tripping. Anyway, okay. yeah. Twerking is a legacy presented to the black culture, to the black culture. Think about it. What did Kamala Harris present to us? Meg Thee Stallion. This is supposed to be getting my vote. Yeah, but see, and Kamala also, she did a whole sit down with who they call Uncle Luke, and his music. It was his own genre. And it was the most, I would say that it's probably, well, I can't say that it still is, but at that time, it was the most disparaging, disrespectful, objectifying music and music videos and music lyrics that I had ever seen. Their group was called 2 Live Crew. I would say go look it up, but please don't. See, and if you go watch it, you may watch and be like, okay, it's bad, but it's not. Well, understand, when I was a kid, that stuff, that's not what was, that just wasn't. But that was put real quick. Let me. This is something I was thinking about. It wasn't always this way. It wasn't always this way. See, they'll bring Meg Thee Stallion out. I mean, there's other people they'll bring out too. They brought out in the past, but it wasn't always like that. And the idea is, not only does it, on one hand, it connects a particular demographic to these candidates, but it also represents these negative racial stereotypes about black people. And one of the racial stereotypes about black women is that, black women are just, they're sexually promiscuous, and, this goes back to slavery stuff. The slave master was the one doing all the essay, but somehow they flipped it around and said, oh, it's because of these women. No, that's not what was going on. But see, those same motifs are represented in the political arena all the time. Well, I shouldn't say all the time, but when it comes to presidential elections, these things are represented to the people. You guys be hip to this game. So even though Kamala says that she's black, you would think that she would have enough sense as someone who is of letters, someone who is highly educated, and in my mind, she has high levels of intelligence, who would say this is not a good look. But who's to say that she's the one who chose, or I would propose that she's not the one that chose that. See, I have a sense that the people who are really in charge, they put these people out in front, but they're not the ones who are making all the decisions. So they will bring on Uncle Luke, which makes no sense to me. They'll bring on Megan Thee Stallion. And again, I don't even know too much about it, but I've seen enough to see that some of that stuff. It reminds me of what was that other one? Because there was two other ones that used to do that, and there was one of them ain't even doing stuff anymore, but the other one's still kind of around and sued Tasha K. But this is just the next iteration of this. But really, what it is it's to present black women as these sexual hooligans. I'll just use that term. As Umar would say, these thoughties. Okay. But see, this is no different than the racial stereotypes that have been used about black women for a very, very long time. And a lot of that goes back to slavery. A lot of it has to do with propaganda about black people to justify the enslavement of black people. And then also to justify the mistreatment of black people when we talk about things like Jim Crow. See? If they're willing to get up here and twerk, then do we have to really treat them like humans? Look at how they're behaving. Plus, her name is Meg Thee Stallion. From what I understand, the stallion is a male horse. I could be wrong. But it wasn't always that way. See, you guys go back a long time ago when they wouldn't have people up there twerking and shit. They didn't do that. You know, another example, I want y'all to go peep this one day when you get some time. Go look up black award shows. Like, because I remember as an example, if you guys look up Luther Vandross, house is not a home, I climb the stairs. This was at the 1988 NAACP Image Awards. You guys go and look at that, and then go look at a more recent one of these award shows. Look at how black people dressed then, and look at how black people dress in these more recent ones. Look at the music that was being performed then, and then look at the ones that are being performed and these days, more modern times. See, it wasn't always the way that it is. See, even music, I kind of mentioned this earlier. If you guys go listen to early hip hop, there was always elements in it that was disparaging. There was elements in it that were reflective of pimp culture and ghetto centrism. But you compare that to what is present now, there's really no comparison. So then why is that what is being pushed? And then those same people, you know, that are the quote unquote creators of these new, more modern styles of rap or whatever, those are the ones that they be calling up for these political conventions and so forth and so on. It wasn't always that way. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I used to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't consider myself to be, but it's clear to me that's an agenda. It's an agenda to not only connect to a demographic that they would call black people to get their vote, or at least a higher percentage of their vote, but it's also to fortify long-standing racial beliefs, negative racial stereotypes about black people. There's no legitimate reason to be sitting down with Luke. There's no legitimate reason to have women up there twerking and then smiling and giggling over it. I don't get that. I really don't. But see, if you go back far enough and you go see when they would have people come on to the Democratic convention and they would have black people, go look at how they used to dress, how they would present themselves, what they were about, and then compare it to what they're doing now. See, that's not by accident. Same thing with the music, the same thing with these different award shows. The thing I remember, and then we're going to get into it for sure. I remember when there was this song I remember to this day, because my youngest son, he was a toddler. And I was at my aunt's house and they were watching this award show, and the song that won the award, I don't know what the award was, a big award, was a song called It's Hard Out Here Being a Pimp or something like that. And I was sitting back watching it because I hadn't even heard the song before. And then they were on stage performing it, and me, my aunt, and her husband, we were shocked. We were like, what? And I was, not that I was appalled, but there was a part of me that said, what is going on? This is what wins? It was such foolishness. But see, it's no different. If you guys go look at that movie Bamboozled, it's just a new iteration of that type of minstrelsy. But it wasn't always that way. Not for politicians to represent that stuff on the world stage like that. Not for these shows where they got people, half naked, and it wasn't always like that. It's something for people to be clear about. In my opinion, it's an agenda. It's an agenda not only to exploit the black vote, but it's also an agenda to represent to the larger society, meaning white society, these negative racial stereotypes about black people that some white people may still believe in, but then there's a percentage that don't believe in it. But then when they see it, they start to believe in it. But then there's also enough intelligence that says, well, no, look, all black people ain't like that. Let's be clear about that. But it doesn't help to have these people at the forefront on these shows or these political conventions, etc. Okay, now we got to get to it, okay? Because we ain't got into nothing that I was supposed to get into today. Black Wolf says we have to stop living in the past. That time is gone. Let these women. Stevie, can you talk? Can you talk to Black Wolf? Donny Hathaway, can you talk to John Coltrane? Can you talk to Black Wolf, please? Ravi Shankar, can you please talk to Black Wolf? You got a point, though. I ain't gonna lie. No, you're taking it too far, okay? Last point on this, I would vote it for a 12-year-old Taco Bell rapper before I ever voted. Do y'all want to do a political show? Because we could do it tomorrow. We really could do it tomorrow. Yeah, I'm off. I can do it tomorrow. And I'll put together a thing. And I want to take this test. I already have it up here where you find out what side of the political party your leanings are. I don't know where I would think I would lean towards the middle. We can do that live. And then we can start having a discussion about these types of topics. I don't mind doing it. Okay. All right. A 12-year-old Taco Bell rapper. Right. All right. Thanks, Cheryl Secondboard. I appreciate it. And it says all pro-blacks are lackluster historians and lecturers with no aircraft carriers or submarines. It sounds like Umar. No aircraft carriers or submarines or space stations. Cool stories, though. Yeah. A lot of it is. And a lot of the individuals that really, it's like a state of delusion. Okay, I'm going to say that, and then we're going to definitely get into the video. I have to say this, that I've been around long enough, and I wouldn't say that I was part of the Black conscious community, the internet-based Black conscious community, but I was part of the grassroots Black conscious community. Going back to 1993, 94. Again, dashikis and all that stuff. Used to get the books and all that stuff. Was his broader. I used to read a lot of his stuff, and the African civilizations. I can't remember what that. It was a real thick book. I read that. I mean, it was all kinds of stories to get into back then. But what I've learned is that a lot of the individuals who participated in that did not know, could not figure out how to function in the larger society to any meaningful way. And so they jump ship from that, and then they go into the alternative, which became for a lot of them the Black conscious community. And even to this day, even though what we see online is totally separate from what I remember, grassroots stuff of getting done. What we see online today is the same thing. Individuals who have a very difficult time operating in the real world. They don't have a real job. They don't have a career. They're not making legitimate income. And so they go to the internet in order to find ways, and they'll create these whole personas. That's what Umar's done. He create this whole persona, or even personas, in order to get money out of people, and they'll change too over the years. Polite is an excellent example. He came out, he was, African in garb, and I'm Nigerian and all this kind of stuff, and I'm learning the Nigerian language and eating the Nigerian food and blah blah blah. And then he had his wife, at least one of them, she used to dress in Nigerian gear and all that kind of stuff. But then they start to morph and change. And then they got into the what we call the hotepers with the onks and the the Medu Netter. You hear him talking, sound like what's his name from the Hidden Colors, Oswald Bates. But he morphed into that, and her attire morphed into that. And his other harem, other people in his harem, they started to change how they dress. And then he went to the militancy stuff. He was wearing the beret and the combat boots. You guys remember that? Weighing about $105. Talking about. But that becomes a way to get more money out of people. Then he ends up establishing. I actually think before he got into that level of militancy, he was doing more of the Moorish stuff, and where they were doing status corrections. And then he set up a group that was called the I can't remember what the organization was called. The New Covenant. That's what he called it. Well, that's because he couldn't deal in the real world. See? And then ultimately it transformed itself. You know, he got into the Black Cons community and he was doing lectures and all that kind of stuff. But then what it turned into was sexual debauchery. And that's when he ultimately ended up moving to Hollywood area. It was still hood where he was at. He tried to act like he was a big baller, but he wasn't. I know that area too. But then the sexual debauchery stuff really started to come out. And I think it was always in him. But see, where this all comes from is individuals who do not know how, and in particular, more specifically, Black men who do not know how to work in the real world. So they have to find some way, and it's not exclusive to Black men, but they have to find some way to get money out of people, and they use the internet to do that. Okay, Zaza Ali, the same thing. She has a criminal record, so it's very difficult for someone with a criminal record on her level to what she was dealing with, to be able to get a decent job or start a decent career and then make a wave. So she went to the internet. She was scamming and scheming. I don't think she's doing that stuff these days. I think she's still online, but she ain't scamming and scheming like she used to do. There's plenty of individuals. They have criminal records. They don't know how to function in society, and so they take to the internet. But at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. There's lecturers and they're the lackluster historians and all this stuff, but they don't have any aircraft characters or submarines or space stations. Okay, all right, that's Umar. Okay, thanks, Seth. Okay, did I get to everyone? Okay, I think I got to everyone. Okay, now for sure we got to get into this. Okay, I've been running my mouth this whole time. So I just want to show you all this and give you guys the receipt that the school was supposed to open today. And again, thanks to all the super chats, everyone. If I missed anyone, I apologize. And here's the video right here. Let me pull it up. Some of you guys may remember this because we actually covered this not too long ago. Here we go. Let me know if you guys can hear. Last week, but yeah. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio on this. This is Father David. The OG. He agreed to come in and join in with us today. And here he is as I speak. We see Dr. Umar Johnson. Hey, how's it going, T. Jones? Welcome. On the Zoom line. Good evening, Doctor. How you doing today? Let me see. Whose mute is on? That's you. Love, Bobby David. Hey, how you doing today, man? I'm well. Good. Where you at today? You in the city or you out of town? I'm inside the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. All right, now I wish you. Who are we looking so funny? He's like a cartoon character. I got to get my other lamp over here. I forgot to bring it over here. Hold on. He looked like a cartoon character. You see my post today on Facebook. I showed a few pictures of the Marcus Garvey Academy School in Wilmington, Delaware, while you were having the festival summer before last, and I really love the pictures. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Younger generation is just different. But see, our parents' generation, they would say the same thing about us too. I just think that the sexual debauchery part of it all has just gotten so over, and also the drug culture too. It's gone so far over the top. And when I was growing up, yeah, you did see some of the women dressed in a certain type of way, but that wasn't the norm. Anybody remember that? Because I saw a picture. I don't mean to get off topic again, but I mean, this is a whole nother show for a whole nother time. But it's fascinating too at the same time. Someone had posted a picture and it was like more modern day, how the young ladies dress. And then they posted a picture from the 90s and how the young women used to dress back then. And I remember people didn't have all their stuff out like that. It just was not. Now, were there a couple of them? Yeah, but most of us knew they ain't the ones we wanted to be dealing with unless we just trying to run through. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't one of them kind of dudes. I just was not. I had to be in a relationship to beam in. Okay, if we ain't in a relationship, I ain't beaming in. I might beam up, but I ain't gonna beam in, Queen. I ain't gonna. But for the vast majority, the ladies dressed, and they weren't showing everything, you know. And I'm not trying to sound old or nothing. What I'm saying is that there's a huge difference. You know, there's a huge difference, and it's not subtle. You know, like I said, back then there was some women that, you know, there was some young ladies, I get it. Those ones that was out a little bit out there, but it wasn't like the normal fashion stuff. That's why with my daughters, I don't play that. I said, nope, those are too short, or that right there, nope, that's showing And that's it. There ain't no conversation either. My wife be like, no, it's not. No, period. I have a limit. And that once that limit, now is it, am I being too? Yeah, probably. But that's what my job is, to keep my daughter safe. And I just, I know how dummies can be. Anyway, the point that I'm making here is it's true. The young generation is different on a lot of different levels, and I have to say that it's the idea is that culture in families normally it's passed down from one generation to the next. This is one of the issues I think that Black folk, we tend to have, not all of us, but a lot of us have. And the thing is that when the home environment, the culture of the home environment, it's not stronger than the culture of the dominant Black, quote unquote, Black society, or at least what is being pushed as being Black. If it's not stronger than that, then the influence that the media-driven Black culture has on these younger people becomes a lot greater than the influence that the home culture has, the family culture has on these young children. Does this make sense? And it's not just new. This isn't a new phenomenon that takes place. Ideally, you would want to have your home culture and your family culture to be impenetrable, but that's just not how it works. Because it's not just what they see in media; it's what their expectations, social expectations. It's like everyone expected me to rap. I said I'm not a rapper, but they expect. One time I was performing in. I was on tour in Austria. I kid you not, and we were playing like jazz. I've written some songs. We were playing that, and these white. We went to the school perform for these children, these Austrian children. And after we were done, they were doing a question and answer, and the question that they kept asking me is, "Can you rap?" I said, "No, I don't rap." And no, "Can you? But please rap for us." Rap. They assume that all Black people rap, which is simply not true. The point that I'm getting at is that ideally we would want for our home culture to be enough to keep the next generation on track, but it doesn't work that way. And then as parents, you have to be understanding enough of your children to give them their space to kind of get into foolishness enough to where they realize that it's not where they need to be. And it's difficult because you want to protect them from everything, right? But it's just not how the world works. But I think that as a culture, Black culture, if it was more well-defined, and it wasn't simply this idea of ghetto-centrism, which most people kind of see Black culture as being, if it was defined as something else. Someone had said earlier, there was a time when we were mainly Christian, church-going, God-fearing, family-oriented people, high morals, high ethics. Okay, now if that was the predominant culture for Black people, I think it would make a difference to kind of offset the type of influence that our children are getting from the media, but then also from their peers, and then also from social expectations from other groups of people. They expect you to be a rapper. Some I kid you not, some of these people, they expect your daughters to be dressed, provocatively, because that's what they see inside these music videos. And it's gotten a lot worse than from what I remember. Luke was bad, though. I ain't gonna lie, that was bad. But it's gotten, I've seen some stuff, and I said, I can't even believe this is on TV. Some of it look like it's soft porn. It's just a different time, and it's the best we can do is the best we can do. And I talk to all of my children about this. And I told my sons, you be your own man. They're going to do what they're going to do. They do, especially the older two, they outwork and they do whatever, that's their life. And I just, I would hope that they make the best decision and the right decision each and every time, but this probably won't happen. My job, and I even told my youngest son recently, I said, my job is not to judge you. My job is to love and guide you. I just wish that the family culture that we, any of us, that we develop for our children, that it would be strong enough to kind of offset the onslaught that our children receive. And the truth of the matter is from what I've seen, it's not enough. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off topic, but this is such a great conversation. It's true. It's a different generation. Real quick, what's up, Andrew Harold? Good to see you. Says they want to portray Black women as oars, which is ironic considering it is said our VP sledded way to the top of the league. I don't know about all that. Okay. Someone said, yeah, so Stein is a male horse. Makes no sense that to have that name as a biological woman, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, but these are different times. Okay, we're all going to hell in a handbasket. Armageddon is coming tomorrow. That's like FDMG. Okay. Can you please show the video? We don't care about people dressing. Dang, y'all are so rude. You're right though, but you also rude. Okay, I'm gonna play the video now. Who is this? Two guard one. All right, you got me on that one. They will shoot at everybody. All right, let me put a video up. Okay, I just don't believe how a woman dressed defines who she is. My daughter wears some things, and I'm like, what? But she also is well educated and carries a tool. Okay. She ready to blast on somebody, huh? Well, that's probably why. No, it just matters to me. It really does, and part of it is just modesty is important to me, and also I know it's not right, but we live in a sex society. I don't want my daughters getting any type of unnecessary attention from some fools out there because they look at if they're dressed a certain kind of way, they assume certain things. Is it right? No. Should women be able to dress however they want to? Absolutely. But the reality of the situation is the reality of the situation. And we got a lot of males out here. They will assume that if a woman dresses a particular way, that means that they have the green light to approach them or to try to get at him and get at the women in a very negative or disrespectful way. And I've seen it time and time again. I don't want my daughters going through that. Okay, so to the best of my ability, that's what I do. And I'm not having them walking around with no gats. Okay, that's what we used to call them back in the day. Like, well, but that's just me. All right. Okay, let me play the video because someone just really clowned me really, really badly. It was two guard one. All right, okay. All right, so here's the video right here. I'm gonna get out the chat room.
I love the fact that you were doing the school itself. Am I too early to say that you'd be making an announcement today?
I would say that here's the announcement for the school right now to give an update. We still have the two inspections, the fire department and the license and inspection. Now, for the license and inspection, Bob and David, they want the school to be move-in ready. So what that means is we got to get our doors repaired, and we also got to lay down the carpet and tile in the classrooms where we took up the old dirty rugs. So basically, we have to make the school, what's the word I'm looking for? Phonetically appealing.
No, it's not phonetically. That phonetically deals with energy, high rates of energy. That's like Mike Tyson when he first came on the scene. He was frenetic with his boxing style. I know the word that he's thinking about. I can't remember what the word is, but I know the word. Okay. By the way, this video is from December of 2023. Okay. So December of 2023. Keep that in mind.
Physically appealing so they can come and do their inspection because they want it to be move-in ready.
That's
and
right.
we also have to put the
yeah, that's what it is. It's aesthetically. That's what it is. Okay. Umar talking about frenetically. I was okay. Yeah. No, I don't think he said phonetics. I think he said frenetically, right? That's what I thought he said, but he meant to say aesthetically. Okay, again, this is what someone was saying earlier. I think it was Black Wolf. Somebody said it. Umar, he's Oswald Bates. Or was it Cheryl Secondborn? Someone said it. Anyway, let's go.
Drop ceiling tiles back up. You know, it's a lot of loose things, you know, nothing major.
Loosey-goosey.
But it's going to take some time because I got to find the right person to do the carpet and the tile. I should be choosing the colors for the paint real soon. So we'll be doing the paint day in the next couple of weeks. So that won't be a big deal. Right now, it's about the rugs and the carpet.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so it's just a lot of little things, but it's not much. The grand opening for the community.
Here we go, right here. Frenetically appealing. But this is the part right here. Listen. Y'all drive me crazy. Okay, this is the part right here. Here we go.
The carpet, you know, so it's just a lot of little things, but it's not much. The grand opening for the community is still going to be next year. We might just do it on festival.
Okay, now he said next year. So what year would that have been? Okay, next year, this video was from December of 2023. So that means that the grand opening was supposed to take place this year. Okay, y'all got that? Okay, let's continue though. Watch this.
Just do it on festival day, Bob and David. I'm thinking about just doing the festival and the grand opening all in the same weekend.
That would be in September?
Yes, sir.
September of what? 2024. Later, Umar says, and I think he actually posted this on Instagram. I just couldn't find it, but he said September 3rd of 2024, which would have been today. So I want to apologize to Umar. I'm going to take all these videos down because FDMG opened today. See, but the truth is that he's been changing the dates. We have a poll up too. There's been 1,846 votes so far. The question is, how many times has Umar Johnson changed the FDMG grand opening date? It's supposed to take place today. But let's see what else he says here, by the way. Let's take a listen.
Okay, good. I'm excited. I'm anxiously anticipating the opening. I was just telling somebody the other day, I say, I hope that he has a ribbon cutting, because I would like to be there for the ribbon cutting if there's going to be one. When you say paint day, if you would to let us know.
What's up in that door, Vic?
If you to let us know what day you're going to be in there painting, I'd be glad to come down and throw on some painting clothes myself and put some sweat, put some equity into it. That's what some sweat equity. Crazy. That's what I wouldn't mind putting into it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But we right there. We dancing around the line is where we are.
What does that mean? This is the finish line right here. You act like you're at churches. What does that mean? What does it mean to dance against the line? Oh, what? This is your principal talking about. What's up, Haza? That's what he said, dancing around the line. No, listen. That's what y'all need to stop. That's what he said. They're gonna eat dancing. What does that mean exactly? I don't know. He start line dancing. Let me stop. What's that dance where they don't move their shoulders? That's what Umar started doing. What they call that? They do it over there. What do they call that? Would they be? But you're not supposed to move your shoulders. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. River dance. I think it's called river dancing. Someone said dusty dancing. What in the world? No, I can dance. I can get it in. Boy. But you put in some old funk stuff, I can get it in. Someone said, yeah, it's a river dance. Here we go. All right. Yeah. There wasn't even nobody in there. Umar yelling, talking about, put on in the door. I said, what? Yeah, Irish dancing. Natural Beauty said the dusty. Woo, y'all crazy. Yeah, crip walking. He crip walking. Yeah, it's a river dance. I used to like that stuff. They did the what do you call the fiddle? Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think riverboat dancing is something different. All right, let me get out this chart. I'm trying to keep saying I'm gonna get out, but I can't help looking here. All right. Okay, let's get back to it. Here we go.
Just got the roof done the other day. I'm here with the locksmith right now because we got the glass repaired the other day. They started because somebody threw a brick through one of the windows, Bob and David.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man.
What's wrong with people, man? Yeah.
Why would you throw a brick through a brand new, beautiful window, brother? But that's what they did.
Oh,
so
my
we got to get the window repaired, and then also the classroom doors. The glass was removed on all of them before we bought the school, from when they vandalized the property when it wasn't being cared for. So we getting all the glass replaced. The fire extinguisher glass has been replaced. We got a few more classroom doors where the glass got to be replaced, and they've already replaced. They've already replaced the window that was broken.
So now, do you have security cameras around?
Yeah, he said he just got the roof done, but if memory, and I could be wrong, if memory serves me right, he did another one after this where he said he needed a roofer. Y'all remember that hit the one? I was going to pull that up because it crossed my mind. He said the roof was done, but then he did another interview with Father David months later. He said that he needed a roofer. Y'all remember that? He was like, yeah, we need a roofer ASAP. And then he looked to the side. I remember because I know how Umar when he be lying. Okay, here we go.
Building around the campus.
We do, but I need to get them switched, Bobby. I need to get them switched to motion detection.
Yes.
And the reason I got to get them switched to motion detection is right now they're on continuous record.
Yes.
That means that if whoever broke that window, I could find out who did it through the camera, but I might have to look through all the footage.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It was probably 100% real, man. He threw the boulder rock. Money drove him up there on Dayton's. You got a hood with the Dayton's with a cowboy. You know what I mean? That's why we do it. We go throw the boulder rock through the roof. Yeah. Umar just be lying. He said he just got the roof done. This video is from December of 2023. But remember, we covered this. It was not that long ago. We covered another video, but it was this year where Umar said he needed a roofer. And he was on Father David's show when he said that. I remember that. People remember that at the one. I could pull it up, but we got to get going here. Okay, here we go. What's up, Black Anonymous? And Sports Bet? And 78 Bet?
Yeah.
I need motion detection.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I'm going to look for motion detection on the cameras because I don't need the cameras just running. I need them only running when something is moving so I can find what I need to find.
And you know, I was just thinking, I say, if you have people that do that kind of work, security camera installation and all of that, if they would even to donate portion of the expense, you know, we could give them credit right here on the show and let people know that these are the kind of people that are willing to put in to help to make the school a success. You know, because if everybody was like me, the school would have been open last year. That's how enthusiastic that I am, and I would want to see it because the success.
It's amazing. First of all, Father David, no disrespect, but I don't understand nothing you're saying. That's number one. No disrespect. But the other thing is, you guys realize that Father David done turned on Umar. The times have changed. Just like we're saying how the younger generation is just different. You're right. But Father David, he don't rock with Umar like he used to. Y'all remember that? He was clowning. And I said that Umar ain't going to go back on that show ever again. He ain't going to go back on that show. We covered it. Father David, they're beefing right now. But back then in December of 2023, Father David even went to the second block party. You guys know that? That was in what, 2022, I think? Yeah, 2022. Because he had a block party 23 and 24. Times have changed.
Success of the school is our own success. You know, we have to look at it as if this was our school because it is our school.
Yes, it is our school.
We have to look at it as if this was for our children because it is for our children.
Yes.
I don't understand why will people hesitate.
There it is. There it is. Thanks, AD. I saw your comment in. What's up, KKC? I saw your comment in the chat room. By the way, y'all, KKC, he did a live stream I think it was Friday. I think I was at work though, but I was sneaking in and watching some of it. But he did. What's up, Kevin? He did a live stream where Dr. J. Kelly showed the buildings up there, and it looked like straight trash. The mold, because they showed this one section, and the mold was I ain't never seen it that bad on the wall. And then. I never noticed this, but Dr. J. Kelly, he showed it how on one side of the street, there's a ramp that you can go up to get to. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you the picture. There's a ramp that you can go up for like access, like if you're wheelchair, you go up the ramp and then you go back around and you go like this and get to the door. And Dr. J. Kelly got close to it. And in addition to it being real dirty and mold on that area, he showed how the foundation, there was a problem with the foundation. And so that ramp was tilted. If I could, I would put it inside the chat room. You know, where you people putting the eyes, because when I started, I was like, "What in the world?" But KKC has the video on his what you call. If I knew where it was, that particular, I mean, the whole video though is you guys. But if I had a segment, a timestamp for it, I would show it to you guys. But it wasn't like that when he purchased them. See, what I'm saying, the point that I'm making here is that these buildings, when we say things like they're dilapidated, they're literally dilapidated. And because they've been sitting so long and no real work has been done, there was the foundation issue back in 2009. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know if that was ever corrected or fixed completely, because I haven't seen any paperwork online that shows that was repaired. Now, it could have been, okay, but I haven't seen it. The point is that even if there was foundation issues then, is it possible that here we are, 15 years later? And is it possible that there's more foundation issues 15 years? Absolutely, it's possible. So when they showed that on KKC, shout out to KKC, when they showed that, my eyes, I was like, oh my goodness, it's crazy. Let me show you what AD just sent me, because I definitely have to have this archive for the documentary. Because I'll definitely have this. I'll have a whole sequence where I show all the different times where Umar changed the date. And let me show this to you all real quick. That's the thing. We have receipts, and if it's verbal or video, and sometimes we'll just pull up from Umar his live streams or his Instagram page or Facebook when he was active on Facebook. He's not really active on Facebook like he used to be, but there's a lot of good information on his Facebook page dealing with the school scam. Yeah, let me show this to you all right quick. See this right here? And thanks for sending this. It says process almost complete. Dr. Umar School for Boys, HMG Re-Africanization Academy. I don't even know what HMG means. Intellectual insurrection begins 9/3/24. That would be September 3rd, 2024. That's today. See, that's what I'm saying. When you Umar Johnson followers say things like, yeah, well, when he opens it, are you going to apologize? Listen, it's already been a scam. This has been going on now for 19 years. He said it was going to open in 2013. That's the first date that I found where he said it was going to open in 2013. He said that in 2010. Go over 2013, then we got 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 to do the war. Now he's saying 2025. First he said it was going to be in August 21st of 2025. Now he's saying, more recently, he said it was going to be a couple of days later. He said it's going to be in February of 2025. He changed the date. Again, the poll is how many times he changed the date. Well, I'm going to tell y'all what the answer is. The answer is he's changed it more than 10 times. I know that for a fact. There's years where he's given 3 dates for 1 year. We're going to do it in February for Black History. And that same year, we're going to do it August 21st. He always say August 21st. Then he'll say something like, yeah, we're going to do it in September. So you add this all up. I mean, this guy, he's changed the date over 10 times. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I just showed you all the receipt right here. And this is why I have to apologize, because the school opened today. I was wrong, and D.L. Hughley was wrong too. I want to get to that D.L. Hughley video, but we don't have to do that one tomorrow. But the process is almost complete. Dr. Umar School for Boys. It says intellectual insurrection began September 3rd, 2024. Anybody know what HMG stands for? I don't even know what that's supposed to. Maybe Honorable Marcus Garvey Re-Africanization Academy. He done changed the name of this stank thing for so many times. It's ridiculous. He just needs a stop. Okay. Eric says, Lenon, did you throw that rock through the window at it? No. I would never do anything like that. I haven't done anything to sabotage Umar. You know, there are times where he said things like, yeah, well, you know, my haters, they tried to get me, count my shows canceled. I've never done that. I've never done that. I never called. Now, I did call a place that was going to have Umar because I want to verify if they were going to have him there. But I haven't called anyone to try to get him shut down or anything. I've never done that. See, my main focus has been on these abandoned buildings in Wilmington, Delaware, and then looking at the historical record, meaning the receipts. And then I'm real big on timeline. When did this happen? When did that happen? Where are we at today? Where were we at last week or last month? See, there was a time he said that the school was going to open September 3rd, 2024. And even though we're looking at this on September 3rd, 2024, understand that he said this a long time ago. So this historical record will show that he has a history of setting a date far in advance of that date, but then when that date gets closer, he just changes it. Then he'll change it again. He'll change it again. He changed it again. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning of this live stream. This is what I mean by dangling the carrot in front of the donkey. And this is how this school scam has been able to go on this long. I mean, where else in society can someone collect millions of dollars for a school project, say that it was going to open in 2013, and then in 2024, he says it's going to open in 2025. And the whole time he's been collecting money. That's crazy to me. It's mind-boggling. And he's still asking for money. I mean, this guy will go to 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee, and while he's paying for it, he'll say, get on your Cash App. That's how bad it is. See, Dale Hughley did a video response, or not video, but he did a radio response to talk. He was basically on Planet Umar, but he says, I can't respect a man who begs for everything. And he's right. See, then we're gonna start wrapping this up. If I ask you all, what is it that Umar does not beg for? What could you tell me? I mean, this guy, he'll beg for some cooch. Now, if you married and you got to beg for it, I get it. Okay, because I've been there. If you got a fiance or your woman and you in a committed relationship, yeah, we gotta beg sometimes, right? But we ain't gonna be getting online. You know what I'm saying? What if I did that to my wife? I said, baby, check your email. I just did a video for you. That's one thing, boy. Let's stay focused, family. We must stay focused. Anyway, Eric, no, I did not throw any rock through the FDMG. But the thing is, Eric, he's already used that excuse. See, there's so many different instances of Umar, just all of these excuses as to why to sabotage. And I remember one time, Eric, Umar said that someone threw a big boulder rock. And he got to exaggerate everything. Everything has to be over the top. You know, he can't just say that there were, 3 spiders in the hallway. He'll say there was 50,000 spiders. They're all looking at me and they said, I'm going to get you. I said, no, Umar, that didn't happen. He said, yes, they did. All of them. Then they start tap dancing and they did the electric boogaloo. I said, come on. Everything has to be exaggerated. This guy said someone threw a big boulder rock through the window. And it was like, what are you talking about? So he's already used this excuse. He represents it over and over again. This guy, he has so many different excuses. The blueprints, it's the Cookie Crush chat, it's LenonHonor. There's some guy named LenonHonor. I don't know who he is. I should have pulled the video with Umar. To this day, I can't believe this guy was talking like that. He was talking about me, but the words that he was using and how he sounded, I said, something ain't right with this guy. I mean, even if you're going to lie on me, that's fine. Plenty of people have done that, but why do you got to talk like that? Most of y'all ain't never seen that video. If I have the courage, I'm going to put that one inside the document. See, that's one of the only times where I heard Umar, and I said, this guy sound demonic. I said, damn, what's wrong with this guy? And there's been a couple of times, but that's one of the only times I said, man, and the way what he was saying, that language, I don't. It's just, well, I was shocked. I said, man, I have it archived though. Y'all probably like, what are you talking about? Man, y'all don't want to hear that, man. It was crazy. Thanks, Eric, for the soup chat. Hasa says, Umar is the type to go to a restaurant, wait till no one is looking and steal out the tip jar, then run out and come back in to pay for his about lunch. To pay for his about lunch. I said, yeah, he's shady like that. And also, I have a sense that he's been like that for a long time. I don't think that Umar just turned out like that. I think he's been sneaky and just a shady person from childhood. I wish I could show y'all this picture. Let me see. I'm going. Let me just hold on one second, everybody. Let me just pull this something up because I want to see if I can blur everyone else out of this picture. I mean, I know how to do it, but I got to see if I can do it on the fly here. How's it going, sir?
Good.
I know it's got to be in this folder. I just saw it. Where'd it go? Yeah, I'm not even seeing it right here. But what I want to do was to blur. Maybe it's in my down. It's still in my downloads. Let me see real quick. Hold on a second. Oh, wait a minute. No, I know where it's at. It's in the folder for this actual live stream. That's why. So what I'm gonna do is, let me just drop this over. Today's the 3rd. Yeah, 3rd. Okay, here it is. Yeah, it's not letting me do it. I can't even pull it up like that. Okay. I'll see if I can do it, and then while we play the rest of this, at least we'll start the video that we're going to get into tomorrow, and then I'll see if I could edit this real quick. But I have it's a picture of Umar with all of his siblings. They were younger. He looks like he's the oldest, but I think the older sister's there too, because Jamal said he had her when he was in junior high school, that he had her. So I don't even know what the situation was for him to be that young to get someone pregnant like that, but. All the kids are there, and I believe the two mamas, at least one of them is there, rest in peace. And then if memory serves me right, I don't think Jamal is in that actual picture, but there is a picture where he's sitting with the kids too, or at least some of them. But the reason that it comes to mind is because I could even tell, just looking at Umar back then, that something just didn't seem right. You guys ever see someone like a child, you just like, something don't seem right. You can even see it in adults, but in children in particular, something ain't right about that child. You can't put your finger on it, and it may not be something serious, but then in some cases it could be something serious. Well, that's kind of like how I see Umar. In that picture, it kind of sums it up for me. That I think he's always been that way. He's the type of person that, he'll steal your money and then he'll ask you for some money. So you got $5. He said, I thought I had $5, but my money gone. I only got $3. Let me get that $3 then. You give him the $3 now, you got $8. You know what I'm saying? That's Umar. I have a sense he's always been like that. Some people are just wired that way. It's like, and I remember a long time ago, so that I made a statement. I said Umar's criminal minded. And see, back then, Umar Johnson supporters, they used to really go at me, and they would come into the chat room. Some would still do from time to time. I try to be respectful to them, as respectful as possible. I'm not here to change their mind. I just want to give them the evidence, and they're going to have to come to an informed decision about Umar. But I remember when I made that comment about Umar being criminal minded, there was a lot of people who were shocked. I was like, what do you mean? How can you say something like that? Well, time tells the truth. But the other thing is, I could tell. See, anytime you have someone who just, they're always trying to find a way to get over on people. They'll be in a restaurant. They're trying to find a way to get over. They're trying to negotiate a lower price than what's on the menu. They're trying to get free labor, even though they've been donated the money that they would need to pay people. But they don't want to pay the people. They want to, I need your time and your labor. I have a video where Jamal Johnson was like, yeah, he doesn't have the money to pay. He just needs the money. He just needs your time. If you guys can come out, and he was promoting it like that. Times have changed since that time. That's for sure. It's been such a long time. But the truth is that Umar hasn't changed. He hasn't changed. I would dare say that Umar's gotten worse because he has to manipulate people even more these days in order to get the type of response that he got in the past. He got away with a whole lot of stuff back in the day. If you guys watch his older archive stuff, he got away with a lot of stuff. Types of things that he would say, stuff that he would present as if it was factual. He would give statistics that he just make up on the spot, and people were like, yeah. He couldn't get away with that type of stuff these days. So he has to do something even more outrageous. He has to talk about Snow Bunny crisis. He has to talk about D.L. Hughley. He has to talk about Kamala Harris. He has to do something that far exceeds that in order to get the same amount of attention that he got back then. But the truth is that if he did the same talking points that he gave exactly verbatim that he gave back in the day, a lot of his followers, they wouldn't rock with him anymore. He got away with a lot back then. But the truth is that he was criminal minded then. He's criminal minded now. And yeah, he would do something like that. He's the kind of person, if he saw a wallet on the ground and it had the person's ID, he'll take the money out and just, discard the wallet. Whereas some like me, and I would hope my kids, what they would do is they would see the ID, they see the money, they leave the money there, and they take the ID and go find the person. Your wallet's still over there. That's how I am. I said, I ain't gonna break, because I'll get it. I'll pick it up, go take it up, they could arrest me and say, you just stole. No, I was gonna go take it back to him. I I'll left it right there. I'll call him or something. Anyway, thanks, Hasa, for the super chat. Eric says, Lemon, have you gone to the building? No, I haven't gone to the buildings. That's the thing. I would never do that. I've never had it in my mind that I would approach Umar or go up there to the, that's just too, it's too much. You know, it's too much. And there are people who've done things like that, and I don't agree with that. I'm talking about people who are openly critics of some of these scammers, and not even Umar. That's not even what I'm talking about, because I've seen other people who are critics of other people online, and they went too far, you know. And you know, I recognize, I have a degree in cybersecurity, so I recognize where to draw the line. You know, first of all, I'm not going to get on here lying about Umar. You know, the other thing is I'm not going to threaten Umar. You know, now Umar's threatened me. He's threatened me with physical violence. He's called me, you know, out my name, said I was gay. You know, he had some of his supporters say that my wife was a lesbian. You know, all kind of. I said, what? How does that work? You find lesbian in me. I don't make me no difference. A woman is a woman. You know, we got something in common. You like women, I like women. That's fine. Let's get together. We're gonna do that. Anyway, but I'm not gonna. I wouldn't do that to Umar. You know, I just wouldn't do that, and I wouldn't put him in a position to where he felt threatened either, because I'm just not like that. Now, if someone want to come up on me and want to try, okay, we can get down with the shit. We can do that. I'll prefer not to, you know. But if someone was infringing on my space like that, and I had to defend myself, I would do whatever I had to do, or defend my family. I'll do whatever I had to do. Trust me. But I wouldn't go and pursue Umar as an open critic. Now, there have been people who don't criticize Umar all that much, but they've gone up there because they live out there. Okay, I get that. But if I'm going to travel across the country to do something like, no. That's really crossing the line. So no, I've never been up there. And the interesting thing, Eric, is that these days it's very difficult to get updates on the condition of these abandoned buildings. Dr. J. Kelly lives out there. So in that sense, I mean, that's his community. He's gone out there and he's shown video footage. I don't have a problem with that because he lives out there. You know, he goes by and he shows it. Also, Reverend Jerry Juice, he stays out there. So it makes sense. He'll go and he'll take video, he'll upload to his YouTube, but he's not looking for Umar. He's just showing the abandoned buildings. Dr. J. Kelly, he's not up there to go find Umar. He's showing the buildings. But it's another thing if you're crossing state lines to go up there and do something like that. So I would never do anything like that. I've never threatened Umar. You know, I haven't done any of the types of things that either he's attempted to do or he's had his followers attempt to do to me, my wife, or my kids. I have people who stalk my kids online. I mean, that's crazy. One individual, I have all their personal, they don't know this, but I have all of their personal information, and I know where they're employed too. And I can just make one phone call to their HR department and say, hey, listen, this is their YouTube page, and these are the types of things that they're saying. And I just want you to look specific about what they're saying about my wife, which is not true. And I'm not saying that they would get fired, but they would be a problem for them. But I'm not going to do that. I've seen people do stuff like that. That's not my lane. My focus is on Umar, specifically dealing with the school scam, and I provide receipts for people to take a look at. I give my critical analysis, and I do the research necessary to provide the receipts to people so they can make an informed decision about whether they should be supporting Umar or not. And that's it, you know. And the trap bandos, they speak for themselves, you know. You guys when you guys get a chance, go and check out KKC's live stream from Friday, and Dr. J. Kelly shows the condition of those abandoned buildings. Horrible, absolutely horrible. Thanks, Eric, for the super chat. What's up, Jay Bravo? He says, if American Greed reached out to you about Umar, would you assist them? I sure would. In fact, my wife, she mentioned it today. She not American Greed. There's another podcast that she be listening to. It says it's American something, but it's something associated with American Greed, or the name sounds familiar to it. And a thought came to mind about American Greed. There are people who they've stated, you know, at some point Umar is going to be on there, and if he is, good. There are people, Jay Bravo, these days that are speculating. They're saying that because of the attention that Umar is getting now, because he's attacking D.L. Hughley, he's attacking Kamala Harris, he's attacking Steve Harvey, that it's going to cause more people to look into what Umar is about, and that type of attention, that he doesn't want that type of attention. That's why I think the documentary would be good. It's perfect timing. Like, let's say if I was able to release part one, segment 1 and segment 2 of the documentary before the elections take place. See, the timing is perfect. Get a whole lot of views, a lot of attention. And a lot of people who are looking into Umar for the first time, and specifically dealing with the school scam, because that's what D.L. Hughley is bringing up. See, if D.L. Hughley kept talking about the school, that would be Umar's worst nightmare. Because now you have someone who has a much broader reach than I have, who's talking about it. And not that he has to be as knowledgeable about what's been going on for the last 19 years dealing with Umar, but really with Umar, I can kind of give people an idea of his life story in essence, but more specifically and more accurately dealing with the period of 2005 to 2024. He doesn't have to know all of that. He just has to know enough to be able to pose particular questions, and then people will continue to look up Umar, and at some point it'll bring them here. And then they can go and start looking at this stuff. And the documentary would be there, or at least the segment 1 and segment 2 of the next documentary on Umar. It would be there for people to take a look at. And that's not the type of attention that Umar wants. See, that's why Jay Bravo, Umar used to he used to say my name and call me gay. And I mean, this guy, I want to pull that video up. You guys be amazed at how he was talking. I'm still shocked to this day how he was talking. I said, man, that's crazy. That to be coming out your mouth, any man's mouth. I said, what in the world? Back then, he would take shots, you know, and he would mention my name. In fact, when he did that on Lord Jamar, he called me I don't even want to say it on here because I don't want to get banned, but he called me a certain term, said I'll be, what did he say? I prey on little boys or something like that. Okay, that's a serious accusation to make. But see, by saying my name, there are people who saw him acting crazy on there. And then because Lord Jamar mentioned my name and said one of your main critics is LenonHonor, a lot of people came up over here after hearing Umar act a fool and then hearing what Umar said about me, and they came up over here. And that's when they said, oh, wow, this all that stuff Umar was saying is a bunch of bull jive. And this guy's over here, he got receipts on Umar. That's why Umar was talking like that. The point that I'm making, Jay Bravo, is that Umar, he wouldn't do that these days. See, and if he did, I'll be like, okay, let me go ahead and burn some midnight oil. We're gonna get deeper into this first segment, and we're gonna get this out as soon as possible. We're gonna get the second one as soon as possible, third one, and the final one. We can finally get it all done. It's gonna take a lot of months. We're gonna drop this thing, and Umar does not want that type of attention. So even bringing my name up doesn't help him. Doesn't benefit him. The one thing I can say about Umar is that he's not a strategist. He doesn't have any strategy when it comes to dealing with his critics. See, part of it is because he's too emotional, and people will say things, and he just loses it. You see how he was acting on Lord Jamar's show. Setting rant. See, and I've been doing the research on this. A lot of people see the setting rant as something that just came out of the blue. No, there's a whole backstory to that too. See, Seti was calling out Umar because not just the money for this school, but also because there were people who were talking with Seti about how Umar was trying to get at these women. Because that's, again, money, sex, power, and control. Turn the heat down, okay? But that's really the money part, okay? So because he's talking about Umar in this way, Umar, instead of being a strategist and dealing with it, he goes off the rails and goes crazy. Look at the setting rant. That was wild, okay? Well, he went crazy too when I was criticizing him earlier on. He went crazy, started calling me all kind of. I said, boy, you got your mind talking like that. That's ridiculous. Same thing with the conscious stripper. See, he could have, as a strategist, he didn't handle that properly. He ended up calling her a maggot, and he called her a hoe, and you know, all kind of just calling her all out her name and stuff. But she had all the receipts and everything. See, he was crushing them cookies, but he was preying on her because she was a single black mother, and he said he's going to help her with their kids and all this other stuff. See, Umar is not a strategist, so it's always been his best interest not to mention my name. And what has in the past, what I recognize is that whenever he did mention my name, that's when the volume of traffic would come up over here. And then more and more people will be exposed to the truth. Or at least they get the receipts that they need to come to the conclusion that Umar is nothing more than a charlatan. And then they'll stop supporting him financially. And that's absolutely the thing that Umar does not want. He does not want people to stop sending him money. Okay, double negative. All right. Thanks, Jay Bravo. And then your kids will see that says, how would parents enroll their kids? Text him. This is a good question as we close out the show. And what I'm going to do is I want to play just a segment of the video that we'll cover tomorrow. But this is a good question. Umar doesn't have this mapped out far enough to be able, he couldn't answer this question. So the enrollment process, there would have to be an enrollment process. The other thing is if they're going to enroll in 4th and 5th grade to start, that means that they would have to have on record their 3rd grade, 2nd grade, 1st grade, and I would assume kindergarten and preschool receipts You know, there have to be some documentation to show that that's the grade that they should be going into. Okay, who's going to manage all of that? Umar hasn't thought this through. He's a charlatan. He's just trying to get money out of people. That's dangling the carrot. Who's going to verify that this child is supposed to be in the 4th grade? Who's going to verify these children's ages? Because you got to have all these receipts, right? You got to make sure that they're where they're living at. You got to make sure, you know, birth certificate. Well, not even birth certificate, but you got to have at least some documentation, social security numbers. Who's going to be handling all of that? Umar? Let me say something else before we close out. And I mean, we're going to close out right here. I was going through these old Umar Johnson videos and these old receipts too. And one of the things I noticed was when there was a point where he was telling people dealing with GoFundMe, he was saying, I need everyone to start, because they're trying to shut me down on GoFundMe. I need everyone to collect all of their receipts and their credit card information and all of their receipts from the money that you donated. And I want you to send it to an email that I will provide soon. People don't understand this. This is what I mean by the criminal. Hassa, here we go. Hassa. This is what I mean by, a lot of people don't understand how Umar, his mind works as a criminal. He's criminal minded. I want people to think about this. If you send Umar Johnson your name, your address, resumes, okay, right? Sending me your resumes. You send him your name, your address, your phone number. Just those 3 things is enough. At least for me, I can pull up more information about you than you would ever want to know. That's why there's some people on here, they have, I can literally get them, make one phone call, and it's legit too, and say, listen, HR, I want you to see what they're doing. They've been doing this for a number of years. And these are the types of things they're saying about my wife, my kids. They've been stalking my kids online. I just want to make you aware of this. And I want you to look at your policy as it relates to internet activity, as whether or not this person is allowed to do these types of things online. Or if by doing these things online, it compromises their employment status with your company. And I could just do it just like that. And it will cause a whole lot of problems for a couple of people that don't think that they think I don't know who they are. I'm not going to do, well, maybe I should do that. But the point that I'm making is that if you give people a minimal amount of personal identifiable information these days on the internet, that's enough. And I have a degree in cybersecurity. That's enough for a person to be able to get all kinds of information about you. But I want people to think about this. Umar's a charlatan and a scam artist. Here we go, Hassa. Watch this. If you send him your resume, you tell him where you're working, where you've worked, you give him your first name, your middle name, your last name, your phone number, your address. You would probably also provide the address, at least in some cases. Some people are going to provide the address to where they're employed, email address. You give him your backstory, because he said, tell me about yourself and blah, 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 blah. And then later on, he's going to ask you for your banking information, your credit card information. Some people are saying, well, what does that have to do with enrollment? Yeah, well, guess what? If you're enrolling their children, you're going to have to provide all kinds of information to this scam artist. What can someone do with your first, middle, last, your home address, your phone number, your place of employment, your work history, and in some cases, your social security number? Because guess what? You're going to have to be giving up all that information for Umar. If you're going to be enrolling your kids, you got to validate yourself as a resident someplace here or there. And you're going to give your credit card information too, or debit card, I guess. What can they do then? Remember, Umar is about power, sex, money, and control. Think about, you got the power now because you got your personal identifiable information. You got your credit card information. He's about money. Well, you just hand it over to him. So to bring it all back as we close out this live stream, your kids will see this. Why would anyone enroll their child into Umar's fake school and provide personal identifiable information of their child in of themselves. And then when they make payment, which is $500 a month, what software is Umar going to use to process payment? What is it? PCI DSS? I wrote an article on it. Not an article. I wrote a paper on it. Is it going to be up to standard? The DSS? Yeah, no, I can't remember. Are there going to be levels of encryption so that when he processes those credit cards or debit cards or what have you, that it's going to be secure? He's going to have an internet infrastructure, right? IT infrastructure. He doesn't even have that. But let's say that he does. Who's going to manage all of that? The point that I'm making is that even when this information is stored, is it going to be stored where? On-site, off-site? Is it going to be stored on the cloud? Is it going to be encrypted? Are there going to be levels of protection of this personal identifiable information? Umar can't even find all of his degrees, ladies and gentlemen. What kind of person would think that they're going to send all of that information to Umar? He's asked for people's credit cards. One last thing, it also proves two things to ask for people's credit cards. It proves that he wants to be in a position to where he's in control of your money. Yeah, but they can track it and they can find. That's not the point. The point is, why would you hand this information over to Umar? I can see Umar taking it and selling it, giving it to somebody else, selling it to them, have them do it someplace else so it never comes back to him. He's criminal minded. But the other thing that it shows is that if he's asking for people to look, get all your receipts of your donations and your credit card information, because I'm gonna need you to send that to me to an email that I'll provide soon. That also means that Umar is not keeping an accurate account in terms of how much money is coming in, when, and from whom. Now, this gets back to what I was saying before as we close out the show. People, we should not, and I'm saying we, collectively, we should not miss sight on the true issue here. Yes, the school opened today, and that's the issue. FDMG it's just a carrot that Umar dangles in front of his followers to keep them going along with this school scam that's been going on now since 2005. But the real issue has always been, and will continue to be, the money. So when people enroll their children, just be aware that you people who are going to enroll your children, you're going to have to provide personal identifiable information. It's not about educating your kids. It's about your money. Not only that, you're going to have to provide your own personal identifiable information. You're also going to have to provide some sort of payment. And I would assume that Umar will have it where you can come in and you swipe your card, or you can do it online. Okay, well, where's all that information being stored? Who's in control of that? Who's the owner of that data server, which should be encrypted? Would it be Umar? And if he has access to your personal identifiable information like that, and he's a charlatan and a scam artist, and yes, he is criminal minded, is it really in your best interest to enroll your child? That's the point that I'm getting at here as we close out the show. All right, thank you so much, your kids. We'll see this tomorrow. And I wanted to get to it today, but we're all out of time. We've gone 3 hours, and I really wanted to get through all this in less than 3, but you know how we do. This is the video I want to get to tomorrow. And just to be clear, the first one, I'm just going to play a snippet of the first one. I actually took out the audio because Umar actually starts this video and he's playing the music from WWF character. What was this guy's name? The Undertaker. And this goes to show you that not only is Umar, he's like a child, but he still has this connection to WWF. Like with the set he ran, he's bringing up WWF character, and I think even his own personality, there's a part of him that's like a WWF character. And so he starts off this whole live stream. He doesn't even say anything. He's just sitting there looking, but it's all theatrics. It's the Umar has to have, everything has to be over the top. It has to be like a stage show, and he's just looking into the camera. I edited out I took out the audio, the song that plays in the background. It's like these bells that ring and this music. And then I start the segment right before he starts to talk. But this is what we'll get into tomorrow. Let's take a look real quick. Oh, wait a minute. This is the wrong one. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I'll put up the wrong one. Hold on 1 second. Let me just skip through the music.
My challenge, King. You said you will debate me on condition that it takes place at the Most Honorable Frederick Douglass and Most Honorable Marcus Garvey Academy. You said in the auditorium.
Here we go right here. This is without the music. Umar burping, and you know Umar, you gotta, you know how he is. He just looks. I even edited out like the first 20 seconds. He's just looking. He looking bad too. Look like I think right now he'd be sleeping in his car. Let me skip through. That's 40
You
years
accepted my challenge, brother. You accepted my challenge, sir. You accepted my challenge, King. You said you will debate me on condition that it takes place at the Most Honorable Frederick Douglass and Most Honorable Marcus Garvey Academy.
What's up, information
You
man?
said in the auditorium. Well, guess what, sir? The gymnatorium has been completely renovated.
You see how slick this guy is? We're gonna get into this video tomorrow. There's two of them. There's a shorter one and a little bit longer one. But I want people to hear that. Okay, he's so crafty. He said gymnatorium, but that's not what D.L. Hughley said. D.L. Hughley said, I'm paraphrasing, I will debate you inside of the auditorium of that school that you're building. Okay, it's really taking a shot at Umar because, again, there is no school. Umar hasn't built anything. Okay, but he said auditorium. The reason why he said auditorium is because there is no auditorium at FDMG. These abandoned buildings. There are two gyms. So what does Umar do? He's so slick. He says gymnatorium. How many caught that? Hit the one. See, Umar, he's very slick. See, he knows that specifically said auditorium, D.L. Hughley. So Umar knows that he doesn't have an auditorium. So he knows he has some stank gyms. So what does he say? He says gymnatorium. Umar, he's something else. He really is.
Since 2021, the gymnatorium of FDMG has been completely renovated since 2021, D.L. Hughley.
Mm-hmm.
We are ready. The gymnatorium is ready, sir.
Yeah, it's not slick to me, but it's slick to his followers. You know, the other thing is this is his way of trying to turn this into a real debate by saying, hey, listen, you know, I do have a gymnatorium. I ain't never heard of what is a gymnatorium? But in the gymnatorium, he said that the gymnatorium has been renovated for a couple of years, even though he ain't shown the inside of the gymnatorium in a couple of years. Ain't no telling what's going on in there. But Alicia, just to be clear, I think it's slick to Umar followers because they may not see it. But for those of us who see it, then we realize that it's not so slick. That's the point I want to make. Yeah, it is. ADD. Ooh, what's up, everybody, man? It's interesting. Yeah, I know who's gonna debate Umar in a dump. It's crazy. Yeah, so everyone, best people. What's up, Bobby? How you doing? And Iceman, yeah, Iceman. He just be making up words. Yeah, he called him doctor. He called Umar Dr. Doolittle. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I think that the documentary would be perfect timing. So I'm going to go ahead and make the commitment now that I'm going to at least start it. Okay, let me just say that I'm going to start it and attempt to get the first segment up by the end of the month. And if I can do that and just maybe once a month get a segment up, I think that would be a good strategy until we get towards the end of it. And then I'll do a final cut version of it, complete with a soundtrack and all the segments edited and finalized, and then release it. And we'll release it as a live stream, and we'll all get into the chat room and watch it. So I'm going to make a commitment now that I'll at least start it. It's just there's a lot of time that goes into it, and it'll take me away from doing other things, including live streaming. So I got to consider that as well. But I can get it done. It's just going to be a lot of work. And I want to thank everyone too. I want to thank everyone who's been along with me for this. The only thing I can call it is the Umar Johnson saga. It's not even so much about FDMG. And the more and more I dig deeper into Umar Johnson's past, it's really about Umar. I think and I know Umar's a cautionary tale. I think that the school is symptomatic of a deeper issue with Umar and his need for control, and his need for money, and his need to exploit and also to sexually exploit Black women. That's what this is all about. It's not about raising black boys or educating black boys. Umar's never taught anywhere. He's never been a teacher. You don't see him in all these years sitting down and educating black boys. There's times where he has done things where I was kind of shocked. Like, yeah, he is. He's down sitting here with black boys. But the way he was talking to them, I was like, man, you ain't got no sense. You don't talk to boys like that. That's how I know he ain't raised no kids. See, he ain't raised no kids. He really hasn't done much outside of run his mouth. But the more and more I dig deeper into Umar and then getting his backstory, the more and more I can understand why he is the way that he is. But it's still not a justification, because all of us, we've gone through something. Some of us has gone through more than others, and I get that. But just because we've gone through things doesn't mean that we should carry on throughout our lives and do the types of things that Umar has consistently done. It's wrong. And Umar needs to be held accountable for it. And I'll continue to do my part to contribute to that goal. I want to thank everyone in the chat room. Thank you for being here. Everyone in Cook Crush chat, thank you so much for being here. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I want to thank our mods for handling this. Also, thanks to everyone who sent in super chats during the live stream. I hope I got to everyone, because there was a whole bunch of them. If I missed anyone, I apologize. Anyone, if you sent in super chats or cash apps, thank you so much. All of my super chats. What is it? PayPal. Okay, I have my PayPal and Cash App information listed down below in the description of this video. Let me give you guys a final tally for the poll, and then we'll close out the show. The poll was, there's been 2,107 people. Wow, 2,107 people voted for this poll. How many? And the question is, how many times has Umar Johnson changed the FDMG grand opening date? And I gave 3 options. I gave 4 options. 3 times, he changed it 3 times, he changed it 6 times, did he change it 8 times, or more than 10 times? 7% said 3 times. Excuse me. Yeah, 7% says 3 times. I don't have my glasses on. 13% says 6 times. 16% says 8 times, and overwhelmingly 64% said more than 10 times. And the answer is, it's been more than 10 times. He's changed the date more than 10 times. I would estimate at this point, and I can pull up receipts to figure it out exactly. I would estimate that he's changed the date at least 15 times, because some years he's given 2 or 3 dates and it never came to pass, and he'll change it to the next year. And at one point he'll change it February, then he said no, it's going to be in September, and then he'll say it's going to be in October. So I would say my best estimate is 16 times, in and around 16 times, that Umar has changed the date. And if that is not enough evidence for people to consider the fact that Umar is nothing more than a scam artist, I don't know what else there is. See, the school was supposed to open today. Children were, and it's not just open, children are supposed to be enrolled today. Classes were supposed to be taught today. Lunches were supposed to be served today. Teachers were supposed to show up today. Buses that were supposed to come from New York and were supposed to come from Canton, Asian land, because he says it's going to be all over. I don't mean to be joking. I apologize. That it's going to come from Baltimore. Buses that are going to be coming. All that's supposed to be taking place today. And just like many times before, FDMG didn't open. And Umar, who should be up there in these trap bandos as a school principal and school psychologist and the traffic guard and the lunch lady, he should have been up there today. Instead, where's Umar at? Well, based on what Umar posted on his Instagram page, he's in Europe right now. He on vacation. And so the saga continues. All right. All right. Thank you all again for tuning on in. Iceman Vamp says all that information is in the FDMG dark web. Yeah. Umar is going to have, it's not going to be called the dark web. It's going to be called the black web. Okay. Because it's got to be black, because Umar's internet's got to be black. Just like he got to have black pigs, he got to have the black internet. Yeah. FDMG black web. Right. Yeah. And he's going to have all the fish in the gym aquarium. Remember he said he's going to put an observatory up on the roof but that's going to be the observatory. I don't know. The gymnast, I can't even think of it. All right. Thanks, Iceman fam. Thank y'all again for tuning on in. And I hope you all enjoyed the show. Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. And as we always do,
Invalid option.
Well, we know that one of the functions,
get an aquarium.
one of the functions, one of the functions is of childhood behavior is attention. I hung up, but I'm going to call back in.
Yeah, he all over the place. California, Brazil,
we're getting
Netherlands.
Significant distractions from a Hotepian or two. I'm going to dial back in. Let me see something.
It was probably 78
Let me jump back in. Time out. I'm back. I'm back. Let's get back.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Queen. Thank you for that.
Hey, well, brother, B, it's sabotage. That's the sabotage. You know, that's Umar. He's sabotage.
What I want to say about that. This is what I want to say about that. Attention is the number one function of misbehavior. And it sounds like your son is kind of thirsty for attention.
All right. Thank you all so much for tuning on in. I hope you enjoyed the show. I feel like it was a classic today. Every once in a while we have the observatory.
FDMG
Y'all crazy.
is coming.
Let's go.
FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. It's coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Go on now, DD. Jim the whole.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Oh, it's coming.
Hey, Erica.
FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. Thought his personality be twerking. It's twerking.
Oh my goodness, that's wild. The gym, the hotel. Y'all need to cut it out. Okay. All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning on in. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll be back tomorrow. I love y'all and take care. Peace.